Evening, one and all, and welcome back to the RSC EU Season 12, Week 6 of League Play. My name is Vector, alongside me, of course, the tremendous Tom Dillon, back together in the booth again to bring you some more amazing RSC Rocket League action. We've got 3 matches on the docket tonight. As always, it will begin in the rival tier, up to elite, and then back down to rival. But when I say we've got some great matches, I'm actually being genuine about this, because the very first one is first versus third in the rival Glaciers Conference. It's going to be absolutely insane, hopefully. And we already made predictions before we began, Tom. I don't know if we want to start with those, if we want to end with those just before the match begins, but I'm just glad to be here again with you, because I always love casting alongside you.
Thank you very much. Very flattering, Vector. But yeah, fantastic game we've got ahead of us here. 25 wins, plays 26. So actually, these two teams very, very close together. And a win for Uranium could put them top at the end of the series, which I think they'll certainly be eyeing up, especially with that top team having a sub in, and a problem as well. Velios is telling us that his teammate is just restarting the game to try and get that all fixed. So I'm excited for a very entertaining series. And to be honest with you, if this doesn't fit it doesn't live up to the billing, I'm going to be quite disappointed.
As will I, and I'm kind of glad he's got some problems, because I've got some good notes about this series. It's an interesting one. First versus third in a table where first all the way down to sixth are a mere 5 games apart. This is a series which will no doubt have a reverberating effect throughout the rival Glaciers Conference, none more so than for our current table toppers, Mystics, following a nail-biting defeat to the 9th place Sanctum last night, which was actually their first and only win of the season, if you can believe it. But Uranum are now uniquely placed to wrangle fate into their own hands and begin to secure that precious postseason spot over the final few weeks. But do they have the power to usurp the throne right here, right now, Tom? Because these are two teams that, in the way that they're matched, I think it's easy to say that one side is stronger just because of the way that they look. With Mystics, Ivelios is the current champion of Rival, which is massive. He won it all with Might of Hades Erebos last season, top of the table again. He is a game changer. He's a match winner. Are they strong enough to beat Uranum with the best goal difference in the entire division?
Yeah, absolutely. Hearing that this player is still struggling as well, you'll have to refer to the rulebook, Vector, because I'm no good. Last time I referred to the rulebook, we ended up having a bit of confusion. But looking at the player stats, then we can see who is going to stand out for these two sides. And I always look for players who are around that goal per game ratio. And for me, on this Uranium side, they have got one player who sticks out in that regard, and it's Lanky. 32 games and 31 goals, as well as Aiko, of course, 32 games with 32 goals. The closest for the other team, Mystics, is Dexy with 44 from 44. So those sort of three are probably going to be the ones to keep an eye out for.
That is indeed likely. I'm trying to look at the team stats on the stream, but I've got a lot of ads on my my phone. That's so I can't look at the stream right now. You're the one that has to whittle off the stats. I'll just go over some of the few notes that I had remaining. I already mentioned Ibelios, current champion of Rival. I expect him to do strong tonight, especially despite their loss last night, which was a nail-biting one. As I said, every single one of the 4 games was down to just 1 goal. I think they won the first one and then narrowly lost the last 3. So there have been rumors that this Mystic side is markedly stronger with their player GM, Hunter Sam. It's who they've played most of the season with. And they've hit somewhat of a speed bump, being forced to slot in their 4th man, Vlem. But because they were so close against the Sanctum last night, I don't expect this one to be an out-and-out pasting in terms of Uranium's ability to play. Like I said, they've got the best goal difference. It's plus 35 in the entire division. But Mystics still hold the title of the most goals scored at 113. And I still expect them to put up a great fight in this one. I think it will go down to the wire. I think it will be a 2-2 draw. Which way it goes, which way it swings, whether or not Mystics get that early momentum, get that confidence back that they lost last night, time will tell, of course. But I just think that this one is going to be a clash of epic proportions. As you said, I hope it lives up to the billing.
Yeah, absolutely. Or indeed, if we do get a game going on, I'm trying to find the rulebook for a start and see if they have to forfeit at any point. I think they've got a minute. I have predicted that we are going to get a result. I don't know what result we're going to get. I just think there's going to be a result. One of these two teams is going to win 3-1 tonight. Maybe you'd be inclined to say it's got draw written all over it in terms of the fact that there's 2 very evenly matched teams. But with that free agent, just adding that little bit of uniqueness to the situation, that will it'll make it very interesting.
Certainly should, as you said, still trying to get back into the proceedings, get this this player into the lobby. Technical difficulties, inevitable, to be honest, with the RSC at this point. But harping back to a little bit of the past, some bit of a throwback to last season in particular. Uranium and Mystics were 8th and 6th this time last season at the end of week 6. So clearly a massive improvement. Obviously the roster's incredibly different. I'm not sure if there are any returning players from those prior rosters. The GMs themselves will have to tell us that. I don't know if Hunter Sam is in the chat to tell us that. I know that Yannick is in there. Seen him a few times hyping up his own team. Of course, the longest standing GM and franchise in the entirety of the RSC. Always nice to see them on the field. But the fact that they've switched up something massively, especially in the draft, probably is being able to push back up into those high positions, into those postseason positions, and it's good to see. I hope they could continue that dominance. Of course, it will depend. I said this result probably reverberates throughout the entire Rival Glaciers conference. This changes a lot of things. It's already close enough as it is. Looking at the table, the bottom 3 are tied, 15 games apiece. The 5th and 6th are tied. It's just incredibly close throughout this entire conference, and hopefully this game keeps it that way. This is Mystic's 2nd series of the week, and so they're in a more difficult position, shall we say, than the teams breathing down their neck, like Journeyman, like Uranum, and Serene Meiji. They're so close to losing that top spot, and it could happen here tonight. I just hope they put up enough of a performance to give us a reason to believe they should still be hanging on to first spot.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm just trying to refer to section 2.2, which seems to be where we've got the the rules for this. And if it turns out we can't. I'm going to be honest with you, Vector. I'm trying to stall here while I try and figure out what on earth the rule actually is, because
it's expected.
yeah, well, if I'm talking to if I'm talking total waffle, I do apologise. It's
That's all we
unfortunately
do here.
unfortunately we obviously don't have the manpower for specific game admins, so it's quite difficult when you're having to cast and try and be a game admin against a rulebook that you don't know after doing ERS for 6 weeks, because the two rulebooks are slightly different. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean we've got quite a lot of time to build up this series, so I'm
Yeah.
going to suggest we keep going.
Well, it's a buildable series, as we've already said. First versus third. You expect there to be a big fireworks show from this one. I mean, it is rival. It's easy to say that it's less expected. This is high mechanics, high maybe team play in terms of passing and things like that. But we've already got a champion on the field. Inevelios is a current champion of rival, the defending one. He's having to defend his title here, as I mentioned before, with the possibly Hunter Sam being the stronger roster. I've seen a couple of comments in the Twitch chat as well that Vlem is supposed to be main roster, and they're sort of trying to figure that out at the moment. They are quite close in CMV in their team rosters, so I'm expecting this one to be sort of proving ground for Vlem to make his mark. It's a great test on stream against a team that could very easily beat you. Uranum on a 2-win streak, best goal difference in the entire division, and I'm expecting it to be an incredible one once we eventually get it underway. And I just hope that these players don't have too many nerves going into this one. We see it quite a lot for a lot of players in the RSC and just in any Rocket League situation, any esport. Going onto stream is difficult, even if it's not a playoff situation, even if it's not knockout, even in a league play stream. They tend to struggle a little bit, and especially coming off of a loss for Mystic's sake, they're gonna have to get out of the gates hot and early. And I just hope that it's one of those matches we get to see, that these players play up to the mark that they're capable of, that everybody pops off, which is rare to see, but sometimes it does, and when it does, it's very entertaining.
Yeah, so I can't find the rule about forfeiting, but they are allowed to play with 2 players. So I don't know if that's possible, or if you indeed know the rule.
Well, it keeps. I'm looking at Velios in the team chat. It disappears just as quickly as it comes up. I think I read that they're trying to get a sub real quickly in for this one. I believe at 15 minutes they'd have to start forfeiting games, unfortunately. And we can ask them if they want to start playing with 2, which would be an interesting one. I think it would be a unique one. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that on stream. But if that is the case, we'll have to start eventually in some form. So we'll just have to hope that they can get that sub in quickly, or we start to see a 3v2, which, I don't know, that's even harder for Velios and Vlem to really start to control this series if they're starting on a disadvantage, a handicap, shall we say. But I don't know exactly how an opponent would play on stream in a 3v2. Would they be merciful? Who knows?
Well, actually, sometimes weirdly, a 3v2 can actually benefit you if you've got a really good duos partner, because the rotations are simpler and you can
Possibly.
actually make the game quite tight. I would say against a good team, like a top of the table team, then it's maybe not an advantage, but it certainly isn't the death sentence that some people think it might be. But if a team cannot field a full roster of 3, they will either play a player or players down or forfeit the match. There's rule 4.3.7.4. Which sounds like an IP address, but no, it is a rule in the RSC
No one
rule
tried
book.
to phone them.
Yeah, no one tried to phone that. I'm hearing that it's full decision by the admins. Whether we class as the admins or not, I don't know.
Don't give us that power. That's a bad idea. We're already got too much power as casters, especially on the field. I mean, I'm sure it happens to you a lot, Tom, but when I speak, things happen. And it's not always the best thing for the players on the field. I talk about, we haven't seen any goals. Goal. Instantaneous. It just happens all the time. It's terrifying, and I don't want that to extend to admin powers either. But at the moment, I don't know if you have any admins available to give us a decision on this. Of course, we do know the rules, so if it comes to the point that they do not wish to start playing with 2 players, they'll have to forfeit 1 game. We'll have to start at the 1 game down for the Mystics side, which would be unfortunate, but it would be not our fault. It's not a problem. It's unfortunate this has happened, but these things do happen. Hence why it's good to have 4 players on a roster so that you can sub someone in, but they're already subbing someone in. So it's a little awkward that these things happen in the esports scenario. But we're just having to deal with it as best we can, as guided by the rules. But hopefully we shall see a resolution soon and get you into that Rocket League action that we've been hyping up this entire time.
Sod's law, really, isn't it? The fact that
such a good series that we've
such a good
talked
series
about so much, and we
the
kind
one
of
time
started.
the one time you need to use your substitute has issues.
Yes. It's wonderful.
It's really quite funny. But anyway, I'm not sure how long we give them until we start to have to go into the film materials, such as what did you have for breakfast and such and such. But anyway, trying to think of my next question now. What did you have for breakfast, Vector?
You put me on the spot here. I don't know. Cereal, Frosties. I think I had some Frosties.
All right, very
for breakfast. So it's a respectable breakfast choice. Some Frosties and an apple, should we say? No, I'm not very good at that weird kind of filler stuff. I just like talking about the game, about Rocket League. Did you see the latest RLCS, Tom? Are you up on the pro scene?
Now, on a hilarious note, despite the fact that I casted the most games for RSC last season, and I've obviously done a lot. I've obviously had to do a lot of ERS over the last sort of few months. I haven't watched an RLCS game in my life.
What?
I've never watched an RLCS game. I watched clips. I've watched clips, but I've never watched the series.
Yeah, why? Are you just not interested in the?
No, I don't like.
Okay.
I'd be happy to cast it. Absolutely happy to cast it. But yeah, I've not watched. I don't watch LCS. I suppose as well. I get my Rocket League fix through this.
Yeah, I apologize. Going to have to interrupt you on that point. Keep it in mind, Tom. As Velos, I think, has said he's happy to start playing 2v3, which is unique. But if he's happy, then we're happy, I think. And they said they could try that and then get a sub next game. Hopefully, someone can step in for that. And I just want to get started with it. If they're able to go, then so are we. Yeah, he's given the all clear, and yeah, I think we're good to go. Stingray, when we're all ready. I haven't heard any response from the opposite team.
I don't either. So. Hopefully they're not on the toilet or anything unpleasant like that, and then we might they're here. There we go. So
this is going to be weird, Tom. This is not the start that we expected to see. Hopefully Uranum gives them a little bit of mercy, but Mystics are going to have to play up to another level than they already were going into this series. Following a defeat, they start the series at a one-man deficit, shall we say, a 2v3. And I'm just wondering, do Uranum take the high road? Did they slow down their pace a little bit? Did they not get disruptive? I mean, if they start to demo Mystics, that's one player on the field. That's an incredibly difficult obstacle to overcome, but they've already double committed here on the midfield line. They have that third man to follow with Velios to stop the first chance for Uranum. And they're holding out quite well to say they're a man down.
Yeah, only 30 seconds in though, so I'm sure they'll get into their rhythm. Here goes a shot. Langi will try and get there, and he does, but he's not able to capitalize on being that extra man, and it's going to get cleared away here. Finally, an attack potentially for Mystics, but not quite able to do so. Revelios now is caught short. This is again where that man at all dear. They're going for the demos straight away, and whilst it will be cleared away, and there won't be a major concern, it's an interesting tactic when you've already got a man up.
I mean, they got a demo and they still didn't score. Vlem was able to rotate back in time, and they've been in their own half for the entirety of this first minute, but they're holding fast. And they've managed to stop this Uranum offense, this extremely high-paced Uranum offense in its tracks so far. They're still having to defend with their lives with not much boost either. They do finally break through a minute and 21 seconds into the first game, but still massive props to Mystics here, having to adapt to this situation. Obviously, you don't practice 2v3s very often. I shouldn't imagine 3 saves for Avelios being forced to make so many defensive stops. They do manage to get a neutral kickoff here. Vlem will beat out the first time they've managed to break into the blue half of the field. Can they finally get some momentum going here?
Potentially. Here goes Avelios then. First real attack of the game for this team that are really struggling at the moment. It is not quite going to be. Langi will now take it away, try and get it past Wadi. Try and get it past the second. He takes a shot. That's it. Capitalizing on an overcommit, and the two-man team is working a dream.
Well then, I've never had to play 3v2 in a competitive environment, of having to change your brain to work in that rotation of being defensive and offensive at the exact same time. You have to be so precise about when you commit and when you pull back. But they've managed to find a way. Will they get punished immediately off kickoff? Try and get that lead back. They stop it again. Vlem on the front post will beat out, but he doesn't have much boost to follow it again. Evelios and Vlem completely empty right now. Uranum baring their teeth. Lang is going to take it all the way up to the sky, get the fake reset as well. Bumps Vlem, I think it was, out of the way to regain that lead. It's unfortunate that they're seeing this, because the fact that they managed to hold it for so long, even though they have just conceded, if they had 3 players, they'd probably be doing quite well right now.
Well, it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, having a 2-man team versus having a 3-man team is so different that sometimes, as we mentioned earlier, that third man can hinge you. You don't necessarily play as well as here's the third. Langi at the near post will tap it in. But yeah, sometimes if you have that third man, and you know they can actually be a hindrance to you. But obviously here, we're seeing a duo that is holding well, but I think they're just playing a little bit too defensively. You know, you can be tempted into this and try and be a little bit defensive, and obviously these kickoffs are not ideal. You can try and be far too defensive, and it ends very badly.
As the old adage says, too many chefs. Got too many players on the field. At least you could argue they've got a little bit more boost to work with, Mystics, so long as Uranum are not stealing it all, which is just mean of them. Of course, they don't really care. They're on stream. They need to get these wins. We posited it from the start. We built it up that should they win this series, they will be top of the table, at least provisionally. And getting a win over first place is nothing to scoff at, even if it is just against 2 of them. Of course, we desperately wish for Mystics to have that third player in the second game and the following games. As a great passing play opens up. Will they get a second? No, it's just about stopped on the line by Jean, but they're opening up space and they're utilizing it well. When they do get chances on offense, Mystics, they're not wasting them necessarily. It's just the fact they're having to go past 3 defenders when they've only got 2 attackers.
Here's Ivelios. He'll look to take it forward, able to find his teammates on this left-hand side, though the problem is they, again, just haven't got that third man in this centre. I have seen teams win 3v2s when I was doing some commentary for my college. They won a 3v2, granted not at this a similar level of Rocket League to this actually, and yeah, so it is possible. But I think here this Mystics team just looking at a step below Uranium, and I think when you've got a team that are potentially better anyway, with Uranium on that sort of better run at the moment, it's quite difficult when you take that man out of it.
Certainly is. So yeah, as I mentioned before, the decision making, positioning, understanding what you need to be doing at any particular moment on the field in a 3v2, as we see a pre-jump here off the ceiling. They're obviously just having fun with it, Uranum. They're in complete control. And getting a little bit too bullyish. The amount of demos and bumping they've been doing as Evelios gets it over the midfield line once again won't be enough. And I believe the stats won't count for this game, unfortunately, for Uranum's sake. But still, the game win counts. And following this, Mystics will be desperate to get those games back, as this house somehow goes in. As Just Iconics managed to get his name on the scoring sheet. A touch off Langi down off the post, unfortunate. Even fate is not going Mystics' way. Physics can be your worst enemy. But they've just got to write this off. They knew that they were disadvantaged from the beginning. They had very little chance. And they just got to not let this affect them going into the rest of the series. Hopefully they should have a third player by then.
Yeah, you've got to respect the fight as well, and you can't really complain at Uranium for not pulling any punches either. This is a big point in the season for them, and you know, this win will take them level with the top of the table, which is very, very important for them. 40 seconds to go then, and it has been an out-and-out pacing, and the demos, I'm afraid to say, continue. Here goes Lange trying to make it a 5th, and he's not quite able to do it.
Stop the Brazil.
Yeah, there you go. That will be on their minds. It'd almost be disrespectful to Brazil them here. Here goes John, takes a shot, and Evelios gets the save. Playing for a little bit of honour and playing for a little bit of pride at the moment.
Managed to get past the midfield line once again. Evelios doing magnificently well to break that pressure. Such a high pressure system in a 3v3, never mind a 3v2. And they've been handling it well despite the scoreline. It really flatters Uranum because they had to use some less than honourable tactics, shall we say, in order to get a few of those goals. This very easily could have been a 2-1 or a 3-1. should those have been scratched from the record. But we'll give them as long as they need, a minute break, maybe a little bit added extra, just for mercy's sake. They did quite well. And you've got to say, they made 7 saves against the 3-man offense with 2 defenders. They understood how to switch things up and change their mindset in the relative positions that they need to in defense, and they didn't spend their entire time in their own half of the field. They got out, they broke out, they had 5 shots, which is incredible for this situation. So I think they can be proud of themselves, pat themselves on the back for that performance, the worst situation they could have found themselves to begin this series. And they have found that third man. So hopefully once we get back into this, Mystics will have a chip on their shoulder. They will be angry about the fact they've had to start this series this way, and that may just give them the energy to fight back here. And Uranum, maybe get a little bit of complacency setting in.
Shin has joined the match, and he'll be the saviour for Mystics to try and get back into this. So, Mystics now 26 wins, Uranium 26 wins. So, Uranium will go, to my knowledge, top of the table on win, not on win percentage. They'll go top of the table, I believe, on goal difference. So that is a big story for them. It's now for Uranium to try and, for Mystics, I should say, to try and save something from this series as we go into game 2. They're already at a disadvantage, but now they're back on that level playing field, and we get kicked off. Shin has got to adapt very quickly as well. What a challenge it's going to be for him as a free agent substitute. Not supposed to be playing at all. Now the substitute for the substitute of Elios will take a shot here. It'll be spilled across the goal and not quite able to find a way in. Jom is going to clear this one away, try and go forward. Shin puts in a strong 50, can now try and take it forward past another one. It's not quite finding its way in on this occasion though, and it will be swept away outside of their own baseline.
Shunted into the spotlight. Shin having to adapt very quickly, as you said, but is doing well. He's holding that midfield pressure. Velos with a slight miss on the double tap through the corner was unfortunate, but they are more than holding their own now. Spent more time in the blue half than the red here on Forbidden Temple. Big Demo does open up space. Another one, temporary 2v2, but Jom is there with a little bit of boost and speed as well. But Shin back in position, the hero, the savior of this team right now, keeping the scoreline equal, 0-0 in the first minute. It's so much more higher paced here, and Uranum actually having to fight and earn their position, their touches in this game as they get one to the backboard. No one going to be there to follow up. Flem with the free clear, and Mystics showing how strong they can be when they've got a full team.
Shin is missing this one, and Langi is going to try and take it away. Maybe create something here for Uranium. Jom takes a shot at Shin with a very good save. My word, that was very, very nice indeed, and he's earning his pennies here. Here goes Shin to the left-hand side. Then can he try and create something more for his team? Into the centre he goes. The shot comes in, and Langi is able to clear it away. Shin is playing a blinder.
Space. Oh, he doesn't quite get the reset, but managed to pinch it at least into a position his teammate can pick it up. Jom hoping that someone's going to be back in time, but that's a free clearance once more for Mystics. Shin gets taken out the play. They recognise how dangerous he is, how effective he's been for this team. 2 saves already. One that made Tom Dillon almost lose his mind. The save on the line. Now 2 minutes in, still no shot to break the barrier. Another demo on the offensive side against Mystics will break down their attacking push for now as Langi to the backboard. Not as much boost this time, but he finds a space for Iconics and he gets stopped on the line once more. Evelios now with 2 saves to his name as well. Mystics still having to defend a lot more than Uranum, at least in terms of chances coming through, getting through to the final shot. But at least none have gone in so far as the half-game mark hits. Evelios back onto offense, looking for that double tap once more. Vlem is going to play it slow, make it awkward for Jom, but it gets there in time. Not enough pressure right now, I feel like, for Mystics. They do get a nice rotation here, but not too much to threaten the Uranum goalkeepers just yet.
Absolutely, and trying to go forward once more. It's the Uranium side, and it's Langi now looking off of the corner. It will be challenged by Evelios. Ball goes loose though, chasing on for Shin. Shin looks to go into his teammates who can't really do much on his right-hand side. Is able to find a man there.
There it is.
The shot, and Evelios breaks through. And it took us 3 minutes to get a goal in this game, but the team that looked pretty decent as a 2-man roster have only been improved by making it a third. And the series could well get levelled here.
Exceptional decision making there from Vlem. He knew that he could just hit it home first time. Shin had the pass to him, but he didn't have the boost. Just waited that extra moment to confuse the defense, get the pass across. An incredible finish for Evelios to finally open the scoring in Mystic's favour here on Forbidden Temple. A great passing play does open up just on the red box, but Evelios once more, now with his hat-trick of saves, stops them in their tracks. Shin already upfield to try and pick up this ball. Back to Evelios, just Iconics was in the right position to stop it, but Vlem's going to be quicker. Going to drop down easily for Uranum to deal with. They just throw away the ball, however. Possession back in Evelios' favour. Tries to get it to Vlem off the ceiling. Not the most direct pass, but it's worked out for now as it's all the way back across the field. Shin wasn't quite ready for it. An awkward bounce kills a little bit of time for Mystics, because that's really all they need to do right now. Keep the ball out of their own half, keep the threat low, and make sure they maintain enough possession, or just score another. That could work too, but Joan doesn't want to let it happen. Final minute comes to the fore. They managed to stop another. Mystics playing extremely well here in game 2. Can't get the second. Back on offense for Uranum.
Just got to close this game out now, but it will be trying to get back level terms for Uranum. This shot comes in. Lanky is going to clear it away. Still a shot and a ball loose. This shot loops in and it finds the net as well. And Mystics have really had to dig deep to get this 2-goal lead. And with 45 seconds to go, the game is such a tight one that I just get this sense, Vector, that it's probably going to be game, set and match here.
Anything's still possible. Mystics getting back into this series is, well, it's hopeful at best in the first game, but now it's very much on the horizon here in game 2 as Evelios picks up his 4th save. Could be another chance for Uranum to get back into this. I think he was assuming, Langy, that Eco was there. There's no point being on defense now. Just stay up the field, keep the pressure. They've got to get 2 goals at the very least to take us to overtime. It's not nearly as easy when there's 3 players on the field. Bearing against you as Langy to his own corner. Forced to take this one out. Does beat the first man, but completely misses his second touch, allowing Shin to take control of the ball once more for John to try and get it down the field. Time is completely against them. Will this go in? No, it will not. Evelios finds his 5th, and Mystics find game 2 to take them back into this series. And what an incredible comeback it was. Shin, especially, got the most ball touches, I think, of anyone in the entire match, and made 2 incredible saves to start off to rally them back. Because even though we said, Mystics should keep this out of their mind, be a goldfish, forget that first game happened, there's no doubt that some of that seeped into them. It annoys you, of course it does. They will have had that feeling going into this second game, but Shin was there to rally them back, and it gave them such confidence going forward. They got 2 goals, completely shut out Uranum. And now this series is really something to get excited about.
8 shots, 8 saves, as someone has mentioned in chat. That is true as well. And it was Uranum who actually dominated the game in terms of the possession, 56% possession, which actually is quite a significant margin in the context of Rocket League. 56 is... You've got the ball for quite a long time, because if you think about how little you can control the ball, if you've got 56% of the ball possession, that's 6% more on the ball than the opposition. That is actually a really big margin. And the fact that they weren't able to capitalize into a victory.
It just shows the incredible defensive masterclass there from Mystics. It's kind of funny, Uranum going into this series had the best defense in the league, in this division at least. With 70 goals conceded, fewer than any team in the rest of Rival. And Mystics had the best goal scoring. So, kind of flipped on its head there. Mystics with an incredible defense to fight back in game 2. And now here on Sovereign Heights, Destiny could be in their hands. Uranum know that they have to get more games than Mystics, of course, should it end up being a draw, which is the only result that they could hope for should they lose this third game even. Then the status quo will be maintained. There will still be 1 game behind Mystics, still just behind them. Still be in second place, of course, because Gentlemen have not played this week. Who are currently in second place. They were tied first with the Mystics going into this series. But it's important. Every single game, you mentioned it yourself. Going into the business end of the season. Great stop by Vlem. Off the line once more. All 3 players on Mystics already got a save. 30 seconds in. 3 shots, 3 saves. Make it 4. Make it 5. Incredible stops here from Mystics. I don't know how they're doing it. But they're managing to, Tom. And it's a wonderful sign. Never mind.
However, it is going to quickly change. And
every time.
There you go. It's the power. John is going to get the goal. And it's going to be Uranum who get the lead. And as it stands, they lead the division back for the moment, if I'm not mistaken, on their incredible goal difference. So 1-0, and well, it's creating quite an interesting battle at the moment. Here goes Avelios, will try and get one back here off of the backboard. It goes into a teammate. Vlem just missing this one, and not quite able to really find the space to work with. John will clear it away, looking for Langi. Langi not quite able to get there, and Avelios having to take it out from his own box. He'll be challenged by Konix, but in the end, not able to do much with it. That is a team bump though, and it will just drop wide.
Picked up once more by Avelios in midfield, however. Keep that pressure on. Langi does well to push away Vlem, who opts to leave it for Shin. Attempting a passing play down the field. Avelios going to try and do this solo. Backboard bound. Shin, however, taken out of the play, which means Vlem has to be a bit more defensive. Does make the stop, however. Make sure Uranum cannot get quick offense. Utilize that counter game. Still, they did manage to get one on the board, which is more than they did in the second. So they're giving themselves some confidence, breaking that duck. Shin here off the sidewall with so much time. Shot on target, off the post instead. Avelios gets beaten by Iconics, and a counter chance here for Uranum. Wide open net for Jom to shoot at. It's going to bounce it off the crossbar, and they get it away. That really had to go in. The fewer chances that they can get through, I mean, the more chances they can get through without being saved. If you're just going to let the woodwork do it for them, the more chance Mystics have to get back into this. Is a sort of a fake here. Shin does get a shot away, but it's not quite enough.
Gonix will try and take it away. Jom eventually clearing it downfield, but Vlem is going to get a strong early challenge in. Langi, though, ball falls to him instead of Avelios. Now looking to take it forward. He's run out a little bit of space, though, and Gonix will try and breathe for a moment, and breathing quite difficult here at the moment for Uranum. They'll take a shot here, though, to try and double their advantage. Avelios getting a save once again. Jom is going to have to try and beat Shin to this one. He won't, and eventually does get the ball. Avelios now downfield. Shin looks to play it into Vlem. Vlem is there, but Jom gets there first. And not really able to create much at the moment. Can this Mystic side? Into the centre it goes. Avelios trying to clear it downfield again, but again, just nothing happening for them, and you can see the frustration starting to build.
Yeah, I love the ideas coming out of Mystics, going into offense through the midfield especially, and they're starting to exploit Uranum's double commits a lot. This one's going to be so hard for Shin as he was smoke screened, but somehow, I don't know how they're doing this. He gets it off the crossbar to get it off the line, keep it to one goal, keep overtime territory still in their favour as Vlem managed to stop Langi getting his first goal of the game. Managed to get about 4 or 5 in the first. Won't count for stats, unfortunately, for him, but he's been shut out so much more in the following games as Shin. Gonna miss it here, but he gets the bump, however. Still able to keep himself in the play, despite not hitting the ball, as Avelios just about keeps it away from that far post. Bit of a soft reset here, as they get a free clear. Avelios to follow it up. None of the Uranum players wanting to commit to that. They just want to let him fly past the ball, because they know that every second wasted is just another chance for them to get a game back in this series, get back into the lead as Iconics is left all alone here. Up the field, it's going to be popped high for Langi to take a shot. Manages to find at least the woodwork, but going to be denied by it once again. That they're still in the offensive half. It's going to be so awkward to deal with as Vlem assumes the shot is coming through. It's left, bouncing into the far post. Langi finally gets the goal he was looking for.
And, well, not quite as free scoring as he was in the first game. Langi, who drops 4 goals in the first game, in this third game, finally gets himself back onto the score sheet, and now Mystics have got a massive task ahead of them in order to, well, save what could be a potential series victory. Shin is going to start it here. Into the centre he goes. It's just against him, and there's an overcommit as well. Langi can't get connection on the ball and might just be the saviour that they need. Avelios is a little bit careless in possession, able to find Vlem though, and now Vlem challenges this. John is going to get there first. They need a goal very quickly. There's a good demo that gives John the space to potentially put it in the centre, but Shin gets there now. Langi goes off the backboard, looks for a teammate. John gets there, takes a shot, and it's just ever so slightly wide. It's running clock though, and that is encouraging. 4 seconds to go. Here goes Vlem looking into the centre. Shin will get, and they get one back.
They've taken their time. It's took them a long while, but oh my goodness, how important that goal from Uranum was to keep them away from the threat of overtime. They've got one. They must win this kickoff. Maybe a fake could be coming out here but it's off the diagonal. It's going to go into the sidewall. Langy just has to kill it. Opts to go for the second shot instead. Iconics was flipping forward to try and get some sort of touch on that. Langy has to beat out. Not enough boost for Vlem to beat the second man from Uranum. They managed to hold on. How crucial some of those finishes were. How crucial some of those saves were. Incredible to see. 8 saves again from Mystics. Well, one fewer than the last game, but still they ended up losing. Just about piling on the adage, the offense is the best defense, clearly for Uranum's sake. They had so many shots. Unbelievable defense from Mystics, but still not quite enough to see them through. And all they can hope for in this series now is a draw to maintain the status quo at the top of the table. It's just a wild series to think that the first game that went the way it did, then Mystics fought back. They had that momentum, they had that drive, and then something just snapped here. Uranum recognized what was happening, kept the pressure up, and it felt like a lot of the time, every single next touch was just another shot from Uranum. They were so adept at keeping the ball in dangerous areas and making sure they had someone ready to take a shot, to force the defense to make a decision, and it still wasn't enough for Mystics to stop them.
And Mystics will be frustrated, won't they? The best they can do now is try and save being top of the league. And I'm sure they will. I'm sure they can put in a good performance in this game 4. But at the end of the day, they'll be frustrated because they've been the better team in this series. I really think they have been. And got a little bit of an issue here. Players jumped into the lobby and then immediately jumped out. I haven't heard any reason why. Missed Langy. There you go, he's back. So they can get into Beckwith Park, and at least now Mystics can try and save being top of the league. It's a small accolade considering the team in second at the moment have got a series in hand, but we're underway to see if Mystics can get that encouragement out of what has otherwise been a pretty tough series for them.
It's already starting off strong here, Uranum on the offensive, but they might have thrown too much into it as someone's already up the field. What in the world did Langy just do? He hit it off his own crossbar into himself to clear it away from any potential follow-up. But Shin is right there. It won't matter. Jom in position, though. Incredible back and forth gameplay here from two rival teams that you could swear were in elite at this point. Doing some unbelievable play. Shin still on the offense, trying to keep it up. Avelios with no boost, stays in the play, keeps his presence known. However, Vlem to the backboard. His teammate won't have enough to follow up. Iconics had to make the touch. Unbelievable start to game 4. Both these teams desperate to get back into the spotlight. And it will be Uranum to steal it away from Mystics once more.
And a bit of an overcommit there as taking a shot and getting that one in. It's Gonix with the goal, if I'm not mistaken. It flashed up, it was just Gonix. And back underway. Mystics not making this easy for themselves, let's put it that way, as this ball goes downfield from Uranium. Probably have adjusted well. I think game 2 was almost a game 1 in terms of how it was played. And then Uranium just got that adjustment and have been able to control the series from that point onwards. Here goes Shin taking a shot now, can't get it over the top of the man. Avelius has got work to do and is able to cushion it to his right hand side. Here goes Konix then, cleared away once more. Konix will swoop back round to it and now try and get it off of the backboard into a teammate. It will be cleared away by Shin, who again has been having a very decent game for a player who was sitting around, I imagine, not doing a great deal at all. Here's a shot to try and get a goal, but John will clear it away.
The unique thing about this game 4 is that Uranum scored relatively early compared to the rest of their games, not counting game 1. That's just an anomaly. We forget about that. It didn't exist, at least in terms of stats. And so it's forcing Mystics to play a different way, to get more offensive a lot sooner than they may be comfortable being. I don't know if you could say they were comfortable on defense. They sort of have to defend, as any team does. And so they might not necessarily enjoy being good at it. But it is the case that they were quite strong at stopping shots. Not quite enough of them to stop Uranum in their tracks, but you can clearly see here they're keeping the pressure up now. They've recognized the efficacy of disruption. They lost pressure here as Shin did over-rotate a little bit. John gets a free clearance. They're going to link up, maybe try and get a pinch. No, they're given far too much time here on the midfield line. Someone really probably should have dove that early, but it's not going to matter as Shin does get a free shot away. John recognizes the danger, stays back as third man, makes sure the this lead is kept intact, Iconics will win out the first 50 here. Velios tries to follow up, but not quite enough. And I think Uranum sort of figure out what Mystics were attempting to do and now flip the script on him.
Blem will clear this downfield, and that is actually a very nice shot
target.
indeed. Well, Jom get there, it's off target. You were right on that one. Good spot as well, actually, from a distance out. Here goes Shin then, trying to save something as Blem will challenge it. Avelios gets there as well, but Konix clears it away. Here he goes now, down this right-hand side. It will be Blem who clears it away into Avelios. Avelios takes a shot, and my word, that is a very, very nice pass. Right into Ivelios. You could not place that any better if you tried. Ivelios is onto it like a hawk.
It's as simple
and they're
as
back
that.
in the game.
One decision. Ivelios, in that situation, he could have easily rotated back, gone to be the third man, waited for his teammate to push up and be the second man, but no, he takes his time. I mean, he might have missed the boost, to be honest. I didn't see exactly how that one unfolded. He was in that corner, though, and he was in the position to receive the pass. He was in the defense's blind spot, and that's so important. If you can be somewhere that your opponent doesn't expect you to be, then you can play around them and you can beat them to the punch. Speed isn't necessarily just about raw speed, about raw, meters per second, should we say, in the game of Rocket League. It is about being in the right place earlier, so you don't need to be as fast. And that's exactly what Ivelios did there. Gets them back into the game, back into the series invariably, and keeps it tight, keeps it close. It's been interesting that sans the first game, every single one has been only by 2 goals. Like the highest goals scored that any team has is 2. It's 2-0 in the second, 2-1 in the third, and now it's only 1-1 here. Must go to at least 2-1 for one side. Will it be Uranum to cement themselves at the top of the table, give themselves a chance to take the throne? They won't actually do it. Should they win this final game, they will be tied on games of Mystics. If my mathematics is correct, Tom, I don't know if you need to correct me on that one. Maybe Trish can do it.
I believe
they were a game behind as they started. Yeah, top on goal difference probably. But as a result, they will be tied. They still have 4 games left. They play them just in a couple nights' time. So this will be huge for them. Give them a little less pressure, especially with the teams surrounding. But can Mystics do it? Can they hold on to top spot right here?
Shin will clear it away. They've got 10 seconds before we get into overtime. It'll go into the centre, drops for Blem. Blem takes a shot, but Jom is there. No one to follow it up. Shin will keep it alive into Avelios. He takes a shot, saved by Konix at the line. Langi will spike it. Probably the sensible choice. We get into overtime, and anything can happen from this point onwards. Jom will take the kickoff. Blem will be able to consolidate. Actually, Konix cushions it down to Jom. Jom is able to clear it away. Now he attacks, challenged by Avelios. It's a good challenge, but Blem is just in front of it, and he can't quite get to the ball. Still inside of Uranium territory, though. Here goes Shin. Langi clears it away, and they can breathe.
I'm amazed this is the first overtime of the series with the way it's been going. But it's still extremely entertaining either way. It's Vlem beating out on the first man. Messes up his dribble but can take it to the wall. Will get snatched here by Iconic. Steals it away. Gets the reset. Tries to fake it underneath. There were 2 defenders, but he couldn't get it past the first. Straight to the back ball once more. Vlem with enough boost, but it's going to be awkward for the defender to deal with. Langi takes the shot straight up. Hits the crossbar. Vlem does get back in time to deal with it. Fortunately picks up the boost to disrupt Iconics there. There's still pressure on from Uranum's side of things. Shin almost gets disrupted off the ball. Langi can only play it to the wall, so possession's back in Mystic's favour. Back to the far corner once more. It's going to be picked up by Iconics. It's just 2 teams matching each other stride for stride right now, but will it be Avelios to break the stride? Never mind, it will be Vlem to follow up as Uranum's defense crumbles at the final time of asking. Langi can't get up to it, neither can Jom. Just Onyx is just backflipping. And Vlem, top of the team, 498 points, game-winning goal, series drawn, huge for Mystics, absolutely momentous. They could have won this series. The way that it started, this is an incredible result for them.
Well, someone's mentioned in chat as well, a draw with a sub in seems decent, and it is. And they would have taken it. I don't think they would have taken it. They would have definitely taken it in these circumstances. But I think what I'm trying to say is, I don't think they would have thought that these circumstances would have to happen. It's incredible for them. And well, what a result! What a result for Mystics, who had to dig so deep. And the top of the table. You can't really complain at that.
For now, yeah, we shall see. Of course, this is their first series, and that only puts them, what is that, 25? They got 3 points, so they're at 28 now, alongside Mystics. Oh, wait, no, what am I talking about? They drew, so they're still below Mystics. It's still one game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because they were a game behind. Uranum still in second now. Well, not still in second. They just got to second, but now that Mystics have played both their series, Uranum have played one of them. Journeyman are in the best position right now because they're 26 points. They've still got all 8 games to play. They're probably the favourites to go top by the end of this week. Time will tell, of course. Results are not guaranteed. But as I said, with the way that series began for Mystics, one of the worst ways that it could have began, having to play a player down, expecting, like you said, they went from a sub playing already and then having to get another one to come in. Shin was the hero of the hour for me, coming in to get this draw for them, or at least help them to this draw. Did a lot of work in game 2, as did he in this final game as well. And just an incredible performance all around from Mystics. Uranum obviously be disappointed with this result, knowing that they won the first game, but I thought, the complacency might have started to set in. I thought that from game 2, it was still close, and then they brought it back in the third. Clearly, top table teams battling it out, and I'm so glad that we could have we brought that to you eventually, that it wasn't just a forfeited series, Tom, because that would have been deeply disappointing given the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, that they'll be very, very happy with that overall. And I don't think there's much else to say. I think we can start to round this out. These two teams looking very good as they go into those playoffs in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, it certainly will be very interesting to see how this shakes out. Still remaining quite close, but with this result, the top few teams are starting to break away from the middle pack in the rival Glacis Conference. Still an exciting one, and we've still got a lot more Rocket League to get through tonight. As in just about 10 minutes after a short break, we'll be moving up to the Elite tier. I believe it is Anju versus, if I can get that correctly, Zulu. Yeah, that's the one. 7th versus 5th in Elite. Unfortunately, you'll not be joining me for that one, Tom. But as always, it has been a pleasure and a privilege, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your life and relax however you do too.
Well, I am very excited to catch up with the next stream as well, Vector. So thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, that's been it for the first rival tier matchup of the night. We'll be back very shortly for some more RSC action. Don't go anywhere.
Something to hold on to, gotta find it first. But here I am, 'cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my funland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club. meet you by the fire. Listen, listen. There's something I must confide. I know I said that it'd be fine. I know I made it look like it'd be alright. But I think I learned my lesson, and I'm not gonna let you out of my sight. You can call me killer, 'cause I'll bring you to the light. And it might taste bitter when you're answering to God. You can call me killer as you look into my eyes. Nothing but a sinner. You won't get away this time. You won't get away this time. You won't get away this time. You won't get away.
Evening, one and all, and welcome back to the RSC EU Season 12, Week 6 of League Play. I believe it's the second stream of the week, and it's the second match of the night. We already had one in the rival tier. It started a little bit strangely. It was one where Velocity, not Velocity, yeah, it was Velocity. No, it wasn't Velocity, it was Visionary. I'll get there eventually. Mystics went up against Uranum. They had to start the series in a 3v2. Eventually, it came down to the wire, and they ended up drawing in quite an entertaining series. That was with Tom Dillon. I've replaced Tom Dillon. I've got someone a little bit more mature, a little bit more experienced, someone that I know more personally. I went to Insomnia with him. It's the wonderful, mesmerizing Morris Guy. Welcome back to the booth. It's been a while, but I'm glad we're back together.
It has been a while, and for a second there, I was wondering who you were actually talking about. More mature, me? What? No, give over. Come on, Vector. You know better than that. Seeing as
now, Tom is definitely mature.
Yeah, no, he is. Nobody can sort of match that mature level. He might look young, but believe me, he's got mature head on his shoulders. Anyway, it's good to be back, like you say, with you here in the casting booth, Vector. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's been a while, so You've got history with one of these teams, so I'll let you explain what that's all about. But this one's going to be a good series nonetheless.
Well, it's not history specifically with the team. It is one of my former teammates, Bob, on the field tonight. We've got a long history together, and I hope that he can show himself on the stream, because I know he's a good player. He might not believe it himself. The team in question, Zulu versus Anju, here in the elite tier. It is 7th versus 5th. Anju is 7th, Zulu are 5th. Currently with a 2020 record at Zulu, if I remember that correctly. Yeah, 2020, because Anju have already played their first series of the week. They lost that, currently on a 2-loss streak, in fact, at 19 and 25. They lost to Deception, second in the table, so not an unexpected result. But this one, I am expecting something different. I believe that Anju will just about make the victory here. They will take it in a 3-1. I don't think it will be too difficult for them necessarily. Zulu have been having some roster, some teething issues, shall we say. Don't like to air dirty laundry, necessarily. But it has been quite public. Wolfie being on this team, who I guess struggle with the chemistry, which is strange considering their record. They've not lost in 4 series. They've won 3 of their last 4 series as well. So they've been doing well in terms of results, and they are close to one of the higher positions in the post for the postseason for playoffs. So it's surprising to see a roster change, but I believe they're bringing in a substitute tonight. I think it's Dash is an FA. So hopefully for their sake, it works. They gel, and they have found their 4th man quickly.
Yeah, indeed. And, it's an interesting, when you get like these roster changes and mixing things up, it can go either way. And it's, and Zulu won't be complaining, like you said, about them sort of coming off the back of not losing in 4. They're going to be wondering what magical season they've got going on. But I mean, likewise, Anju, they're going to be wanting to fight hard. I mean, you never want to be on the end of a losing streak, and they've got to make sure they sort of steer the ship and make it a little bit firmer going in towards the final stages of the season, especially if they want to make the playoffs. So sitting in 7th at the moment, they're not out of it, but one thing's for sure, Vector, they'll be fighting hard. But having said that, I mean, you said 3-1 to Anju, and not because I want to, just make things interesting in terms of a cast prediction, but it's going to be a tough one for Anju, I think, and I'm going 3-1 for Zulu to do this one. It's just they're in good forms at the moment, and I can see this working out for them.
It certainly could, as we have all the players joining up to the lobby to decide which one of our disparate predictions ends up being correct. I'm already 1 for 1 tonight. I thought that it would go to a 2-2 draw in the first series. It started wildly, in fact, and it may have helped my prediction in the end. But I'm less confident about this one, shall we say. 7th versus 5th, it's hard to know what to expect, especially in Elite, the tier most notorious for unpredictability, for crazy results, for unexpected situations. But hopefully, in this case, it leads to an entertaining affair. One where both teams are gunning for it, fighting for it. Dash especially, I'll be keeping my watchful eye on. As an FA, this is very much a testing scenario for him to come into. Possibly the new 4th man for this team. As the shot goes narrowly wide for him there. This is one where he really wants to perform on stream. And I really hope that he can look to that mark.
I'm going to say you probably cursed him a little bit then. He had a good shot on target and he just couldn't quite get it on net. And he'll be looking this back and thinking, why did Vector have to say anything at that particular moment in time? But seems like Zulu are just putting in a little bit of pressure now. So I'm sure there'll be more opportunities for Dash to show his worth as he slight double commit there. But so far, Zulu looking like they might get it. And indeed they have. Bob stepping up to the plate.
That's the guy I know. Beautiful Bob. Finishes this one off, reads the ball swiftly from the lackluster clear there. Swift able to get it away, but not far enough. Zulu opened the scoring. Over a minute in. I'm expecting this kind of connection to keep working. Cynics did technically get an assist there. And Bob and Cynics have been playing the most together on this roster. At least looking at the ball chasing results from the players I've seen is a nice extension here by Cal D. Sends it across for Swift, but he's not swift enough to take it away from the defender. Cal D still in position to at least stop the ball going back further down the field. It won't be enough to prevent Dash from trying to get this double tap though, as he doesn't have quite the boost to get to it. Bob there with the follow. This time it will be wide. They cannot double their lead. And Anju desperate to try and get something on the board, because literally all they've got now is a single save and a single shot, both from Cal D. Not a single one of them above 100 points 2 minutes into a game. Not looking great.
It's not, but not quite at the halfway point. And maybe first game jitters. We've seen it so many times on stream. Maybe that's playing a factor in their gameplay, but certainly Zulu looking like they're starting to find the rhythm a little bit. But one thing to note though is, nice demo there coming in on Bob, but one thing to note is I've seen a few double commits coming in from Zulu, so maybe if Andrew can just hold their form a little bit, capitalise on those mistakes when they happen, then they might see an opportunity for them.
I'd love to see a demo following a double commit, because it just tells me that players are aware of the situation on the field. They know that if they've already got a double commit, then they can get a demo on someone offensively or defensively, then it changes the makeup of the field and just what people are capable of doing in any situation. So hopefully we see more of that flourish. Still a 1-goal game, as you said. First game jitters, very easy to be caught out in this situation. Not quite know what you're meant to be doing against their opponent, but they could get one here. However, Dash somehow pre-jump stops this. He was just in the right place at the right time. He was a passenger until he was a hero there. Managed to get the ball hit into him and keep that fragile lead intact. Andrew will be furious, frustrated about the fact they could not get that either side of the defender. They get their 3 shots on the board, equaling Zulu, but still not managing to get it past the red defense. Bob is getting punched out the way here. Keza with not enough boost to get a strong musty, but they will instead try for a 1-2-3 passing play. Swift gave them far too much time on this ball. As Cal D to follow up, they do get it beyond the defense this time. As Zulu's active defense here, I'm not sure what happened. There was just no one in position to try and go for the ball.
It just seemed like they were all just ball watching a little bit, just all stationary and not really.
You go for it. No, you go for it.
No, I insist. No, you go. Yeah, we've all done it, but it's the wrong time to do it. As fair play to Andrew. It's like I said, they just had to make sure they didn't let the game run away from them, and they got a few opportunities and managed to get at least one of those in the back of the net. So it's a good sign of Swift. The challenge nearly ended up in the back of the net. But with just over a minute left to play, it's pretty much all square, and it definitely seems like Andrew are just growing into this role a little bit.
Don't leave too much time in any position in Rocket League. You give your opponent that space, they're often going to utilize it as a double commit. Ends up coming to Andrew's fruition. A double commit to double their lead, in fact. As Bob, trying to rotate back into position, assumed Cynics was going to get a touch. He was just left in such an awkward place to deal with the chipped ball here. Maybe expecting some confusion there for Andrew's offense, but it ends up just flying straight down the middle, straight over Bob for a second time. He's been the last defender for both conceded goals here. First one, you've got to admit, was a lot tougher to deal with. It's going to be awkward for Dash as low boost through the front post does allow Cynics, however, to get an aerial at least into a safer position, so we say, as Caldi and Swift look to link up. It's going to be shot down to the crossbar. Bob is last man again, but this one again going to be stopped on the line, followed up by Keza to pick up his brace and send Zulu into an awful position. 2-goal deficit, 30 seconds left. They're really struggling right now.
They are. It's a game of two halves for sure for Andrew, and the floodgates are sort of opened ever so slightly in this first game. And it just seemed like Zulu, you know, whether it's a case of Andrew just not being able to find a rhythm and Zulu just doing the basics. There's a lovely save off the back there from Ryzax. Yeah, whether, you know, Zulu just, they would sort of average in the first half. They might get a second, not quite, as it doesn't quite squeak over the line. Well, my word, Zulu, you've got to step it up, and that's a good sign that they haven't quite lost their flow just yet. But time's running out, and I think we're going to see a victory here for Andrew.
An unfortunate miss there for Zulu. Bob got the opportunity, wasn't on target at all. Cynics opted to go for the demo, and was just unaware that it wasn't even on the target in the first place. As you said it yourself, perfectly put. A game of two halves. Andrew, they didn't start very strongly, but it felt like maybe a column A, column B situation where Zulu sort of ran out of steam and ran out of ideas towards the end of that game, or at least in the middle of it. They couldn't control the midfield as well, and as we saw very clearly on one of their concessions, that they just left far too much space for Andrew to work with. You do that for any team, and they're going to find a way around you. And Andrew took that in their stride, stepped it up, and maybe shook off those jitters of the first stream game, and got a 2-goal lead, a convincing win for them. And giving my prediction a little bit more life than maybe some people believed going into this series at Morris Sky. But still, plenty of Rocket League left to play. Still a victory on the cards for Zulu. Just maybe need to step it up in terms of individual responsibility. It felt like, as I said, people just watching each other, expecting things to happen, rather than going and doing it themselves. We saw plenty of double commits from them, but that can be worked on and that can be figured out. Communication is the first step. And the first step to victory is one that Zulu needs to start making right now.
Yeah, I took the words right out of my mouth. There's not really much I can add to that, but yeah, it's interesting just to see how these two teams are sort of doing with their rotations and whatever. And it just Dash shows moments of like he's got it under control, and then there's slight double commits, like you say, coming in, and they just need to settle down now because, if that first game's done and dusted, enough they can do about it. But just got to step it up. Just got to be a bit quicker first man to the ball and just make sure there's always one person challenging, and then the rest will follow.
I think one of their worst vices was lack of boost management. A lot of the times when I saw the director cam switch over to Dash, he was 30 boost or less, something like that. He was wildly swinging at a ball, trying to get something on it, as Cynics will be beaten here. Rough position left there as the, I don't know, did I just woof as like a dog? I'm not sure anymore. All I know is that Andrew got a goal away because Cynics left as that third man at the front post. He has to jump early. He has to assume the shot is coming in at a rapid pace, but instead, Swift takes his time, does the opposite of his namesake, and slows that play down to give Andrew a quick lead here on game two. They continue to compound upon the effect they developed on the first.
Yeah, but the almost immediate response, but Caldi coming in off from inside his own goal to get that one clear, and just got to make sure they don't panic now, Zulu. I mean, early goal is easy enough to come back from, but 2 goals is going to be a little bit more of a tricky one, and the defence just doesn't seem on point at the moment. As you saw Dash just letting the ball run away from him. Swift, like I was saying at the start, first man straight on the ball, puts the challenge in, ends up going across the net into half of his teammate in the back of the net. And it seems like, Andrew, if they keep this up, we could see an absolute walkover on the cards.
Clue is in the name. He's rapid. And he knows exactly where to be at the right times. Another double commit. Dash forced to get it away from, as you said, that first man. Swift, right position, right time. Opts to lead this ball for his teammate. But for Zulu's sake, struggling with the understanding of where they need to be. A big bump does take Bob out of the play, manages to recover in time to make sure there's no one to follow up. But just free space for Caldi to take a shot. It's weak, however. Front post, and Dash deals with it. So a little bit of confusion on the line. Bob and Dash getting in each other's way. Keza will be there. Cynics has to come in and help out his team. Uses all his boost to do it, however, which leaves so much space for the third man. Another double commit keeps it off the line. I'm going to say double the deficit, double the pain for Zulu's sake, but they've managed to break out, get forward onto offense now as Dash punts hit high. Bob is there. They have to wait for Cynics to follow up with enough boost, sends it backboard. Bit of a wasted possession, but he does keep pressure, steals the boost especially. As Dash to pop it up, he's going to fake it out for Bob, but he's committed too early, and Swift is there to probably take another shot. It's going to be wide, and they just about get away with it, Zulu. There's a lot more space opening up for them on the counter, though.
It seems like this game's turning a bit scrappy at the moment. Balls popping both ends, one end to the other, and whether it's panicking just Zulu and just trying to force something, and oh my, it's like mistake there's left the goal wide open. Swift sends it into the bottom right hand corner. He had to make sure he got a touch on that one, but Cynics just completely misreads the bounce of the bottom there. And lovely shot, I've got to say, from Swift to send it into the back of the net. But it just seems like Zulu are just panicking all over the field now, and it's just not happening for them.
It's the prime word, panic. We saw it as soon as you said it. In fact, Cynics just flying straight past the ball when he could have took his time. They know it's just a psychological factor when you're down by 2 goals, now 3. You just rush. It just happens. It's an instinct. You want to go faster than your opponent, and it starts to make you make mistakes so much more often, so much more frequently. Swift does just get this bat away off his backboard as a free pass here for Caldi to Keza. Oh my goodness, that would have been beautiful to see come to fruition. Unfortunately, it will not be, thankfully for Zulu, saving their graces. An incredible play by Dash, takes it across, but it's going to be missed off the line, Bob. I thought Dash was going for it himself. Maybe that made Bob hesitate, but either way, it came off the post, and they will not be able to get this deficit any better. There's another missed chance here, comes through the corner. Keza with so much time and space to take this up high through the corner. He's going to get bumped, but it will not make a difference. Swift maybe fakes that one out, but they eventually get the clear anyway. Zulu, try as they might, just cannot get anything through.
I'm still reeling from that shot, which opened net and he slams it against the post. It's just summing up Zulu at the moment, and that's going to be an absolute mental blocker for them to try and overcome, as it seems destined that Andrew are going to at least come away with a draw from this series and potentially the series victory as well. And they're just sort of toying with Zulu now.
Just no way.
It's going to be it! Finally makes it to the back of the net. Oh, we both holding our breaths there, Vector, and it somehow ends up in the back of the net eventually.
That is vicious from Swift to slow that ball down where he did. He was mid-jump. That was not necessarily intentional. That was not planned out. He just happened to be in the right place at the right time and adjusted to the play. Easily the play of the night for me so far. Incredible decision making there from the second man, Keza, I believe it was. To stay with the play. He didn't just wait back. He knew that he could keep the pressure on. It got to Swift, eventually to Caldi. It was a bit of a wild one, but it's allowed him to pick up his brace now. 5-0 on Forbidden Temple. Dash doing something, I guess, trying to draw out the offense so they get a counter, but it's always a dangerous duel. Dribbling on your goal line, and he's just been reminded of that fact. 5 goals.
Never do it. It's a cardinal sin, especially when you're sort of battling against the team that are looking very comfortable in what they're doing, to just kind of take it so casually across your own net, and they might concede a sick to get away with it, Cynics. But pressure's still very much on, and they just got to sweep this one under the rug, ignore it. Swift almost stepping up there and give it. Oh, no, come on. So how did that one end up in the back of the net? It's all 3 of Zulu at one point in their own net, and it just... they need to do something. They need to have... We don't have timeouts actually in this one, Vector, but they need to just relax, take a deep breath, and just do the basics, lads. That's all you got to do.
Well, timeout's a privilege reserved for the postseason, which, as it stands, Zulu may be struggling to get into. As you said, sweep it under the rug. One for the road. No. Not even allowed that.
Sorry, I
Not
shouldn't
even.
laugh.
It's funny, there's no doubt about it. It's a sad state of affairs for Zulu, of course. They can't even get one clean sheet for Anju, even though it was literally on the goal line. Every single player scored. Swift with 3, Caldi with 2, and Keza with 1 as well. 4 of those goals assisted. An exceptional team performance from Anju. The scoreline will tell you that well enough, but just in terms of individual performance as well, the way that they played, it was beautiful.
It was, and I'm not taking anything away from Andrew, but at the same time, Zulu were just all over the place in that game. And when they are, credit to Andrew, they were comfortable on the ball and they walked away with the victory. I'm not taking that away from them, but Zulu made it way too easy for them on occasion, and it's. I don't know. It's just disappointing when you see that, especially at this level. But Zulu, I'm the draw specialist, Vector, when it comes to casting. I'm not giving up hope. I might have got the wrong prediction now, but there's still hope for Zulu to come away with this draw.
Well, will Sovereign Heights be the beginning of the comeback here for Shaman Esports? Can they work some of that black magic? Get things back in their favour. Kicked off here. They do win the kickoff. But it's going to be sent straight back. Keza's right there to try and dissuade them from any thoughts of rebellion here. Cynics, though, with an incredible 50. Will be wide. Keza's still scrambling to get back to it, however. A free clear. Got far too much time on this ball. Dash does get back there. Wins the 50 as well. It's good play. And they have some space in midfield, but no boost to work with. Maybe just allowing his team to get into position, but it's come to no avail. No effect. Cynics is just in the right place to get this to bounce up. Swift with the reset. He's going to fake it out. Bob can only clear it to Keza, but it's enough to get them away from danger. Caldi with an incredible catch to the back ball. Will someone follow up? Someone was there, but maybe a bit too quickly as it's ended up back on the other side of the field.
Bob now with a dribble. Gets round one. It's off the post. That's more like it, Bob. We've been waiting a while for Zulu to step up and show us what they can actually do, and Bob just gets it past Carl D, and it's enough to send it into the back of the net, and hopefully we might see this being a little bit of a confidence boost for the Zulu lads. You never know, Vector. It's still plenty of left to play for.
Yep.
Why did I say it? Why?
Because you must. Because that is our curse as commentators. We must, posit the possibilities. We must think about all the variables. What could happen? What might not happen? And as it has happened, the lead has been erased. Not instantaneously for Zulu. It was an incredible play from Bob. Exactly what I wanted to see from him from this series. He gets a great save as well to maintain the status quo. I asked him to put on a show as this one's bouncing off the crossbar. Swift denied. Another goal in this game. Got a hat-trick last time round. I'm sure he'll be hunting for another. Get his name on the Player of the Week board, but they're doing somewhat better. At least Zulu. They've got one goal. They started out. They got their first goal. They got the first blood in this game. They've got to do more. They have to shore up their defense. It's well played from Cynics to keep the pressure on. Missed from Dash, but Bob does manage to get a double tap. Is that on target? No, it will not be, but it's not going to be enough for the defense to deal with quickly enough. Cynics in position to keep the pressure on. Does get beaten out second time, but Dash is right there to follow up, get the 50. No one there to follow quickly enough unless Cynics does get the boost, misses out. Maybe a fake, but it's going to work for Caldi and Swift. Hit it into each other. I don't know if this is in their favor, but Keza does pick it up with the flick over one. Bob back in time, making up for the misses in game 2. Great start for them.
He's an absolute fridge at the moment on the back line, and he's got to make sure he's there again as Carl D sends it into the midfield, into the part of his teammate. Oh, not quite on that occasion, but this is a lot better from Zulu in this game, but they're just snatching a little bit of that final touch, and just got to settle down. They're still very much in this game as the ball gets punted up the other end of the field. It's going to go just wide, and none of the Zulu lads able to get on the end of that one, but a lot better play. It's a lot tighter this game, and as we hit the halfway point, we're still 1-1.
They've had a much more presence in this game, even if not everything is working, even if not everything is going their way in terms of 50 and touches and shots especially. We've seen a few glaring chances go wide. they're still there. They're still trying. They're making an effort, which is so much more than they could say for the first 2 games. As effort leads to results, you can clearly see it here. Cynics with a great touch across, kind of beats all 3 players there, as Bob with the rapid reactions, critical thinking to get that ball past 2 players into the back of the net, taking this team on his back, trying to get them dragging back into this series. Incredible start for him. 2 goals, 3 saves. Been such a catalyst, and a backflip may have opened up space for a 3rd goal for Zulu, but instead it's a counter for Swift to try and get something on it. Doesn't control the aerial as best as he could have, but Bob with his 4th save denies the equalizer for Anju once more. They're trying to keep up this pressure, but they just can't quite manage it. Something has changed in the Zulu's mindset, and it's for all the better.
It is, and I think the change is very much called Bob at the moment. He's trying to bring his team kicking and screaming and trying to get some sort of result on this one, and at the moment it's working out for them, but a very slim margin though between the 2 of them. One mistake is all it's going to take. A shot not quite on target there from Elkiza. Is it Elkiza? I don't even know how you say it.
It's just Keza. RL is
just
the start.
RL Leza, Keza, whoever he is. He didn't quite get his shot on target, and they survive again, Zulu, but they've still got a minute left, and you're not going to take Anju. You don't want to give them too much space, because we've seen them step up the pressure. Beautiful demo on the midfield there, past the Cynics, trying to get this one up. Met in the middle there by Swift.
Cynics not wanting to give them so little space that they just don't exist anymore. Takes them out of space entirely to keep that defense strong. Best place to defend is in midfield, I feel. Make sure they can't even get to your side of the half. Not always possible, but if you maintain that belief, then you might just have a chance, as do Anju. Overtime looming should they get one more goal. 30 seconds to do it. Can they keep possession? This time it's sent to Bob. He's going to opt to leave it for Cynics. Good decision. There's a big double commit. Opens up space on the counter. Dash maybe ruins that a little bit, but Bob does well enough to keep up that midfield presence. As I said, once again, space for Caldi, just launches it at Cynics. He knows he can just play it to the corner, kill even more time as Dash with the speed to get it back into the midfield. Left for Swift. Can he take up the mantle here? Can he get back into the goal-scoring ways? It's going to be a pass across. Keza back to Caldi. He's put high. Can Keza get there first? Bob misses, but it's not going to be enough. Left to die by Dash on the edge of the box. What a photo finish there for Game 3. But Zulu give themselves something to hang on to. The draw is still possible. They can still keep their spot in the table, of course. Anju were, I think, a game or a couple games behind Zulu just before this one started. So that is a huge, huge game for them. And it all came off of the back of Bob's performance. Of course, Cynics and Dash, they definitely put in the effort. They put in a great performance, Cynics especially towards the end of that game. But it was, for the most part, stars shining on Bob. 2 goals, 4 saves, an innumerable amount of things that just don't add points. Incredible performance here, especially after the last game. What a comeback.
It is, and it's just the response you needed. And I mean, you know, you said you mentioned his name, Bob, but he was definitely the change there for me for Zulu. And sometimes you just need that one player in your team just to say, come on, this is what we got to do, you know, leading the front line.
Cracks knuckles.
And, yeah, it's just he made that difference, and hopefully he can keep that up going into this next game here, because we're still, you know, it's still very much on the knife edge. Anju, there were some moments, you know, with the breakaways, with the counter attacks when they looked dangerous, and Zulu just got to make sure that they, you know, they don't snatch at the ball when it comes to sort of those moments, and who knows, we could be in for a wild ride here in this final game.
You're on Beckwith Park, under the shadow of the skyline. Shall we see? Will the moonlight be too bright? Will Zulu be blinded by the strength of Anju? They got 6 goals in one game. I'm sure they'll be hoping they could get those goals back here. But they're going to be having to get at least 1 goal in this game as Zulu open up the scoring. The quickest we've seen tonight. 16 seconds in. What an incredible start for them. They have found something special here, something to hang on to. The foundation has been built upon. And Cynics, player GM as well. It's just lovely to see that teams are able to come back from deficits such as the one that they had and build upon it. 2 goals, less than 30 seconds. This is the Zulu that we know.
This is what You know, part of me is just cursing myself for not predicting the draw, because this series, it seems like it's going to turn into a series of 2 halves, with Zulu just stepping up right out the gates off the back of a very nice opening goal. But they've got to be careful still. I mean, there's still over 4 minutes, and 2 goals is nothing in this game mode, as we all know. But I don't know, Vector. This is. I'm scared to say anything at this moment because I don't want to curse either of the teams.
Well, I believe what was your prediction? 3-1 to Zulu.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It was, yeah. I'm still on the cards just about, but I'm angling more and more towards a draw as the seconds tick by, because something has switched here for Zulu. Of course, they're doing a lot more of the fundamentals right. They're managing to keep their defense stalwart and less rigid. It's more flexible instead of just sitting back and hoping that you can get a clearance or get a well enough touch away. They've managed to be a lot more proactive with it, getting forward and making sure they occupy the space just beyond the edge of their box. But something that Anju have really started to suffer with is the efficacy of their mechanics. They've still been doing it. We've still seen plenty of attempts at aerials and double taps and whatnot, but Zulu is so much better at recognizing that and cutting it out. As a misplay here by Keza does still allow Kaldi to get through. He's going to fake out the first touch, managed to get one down, but it's too awkward for his teammate to pick up, and not quite a free clearance for Zulu, shall we say, as Dash attempts to get it out for the second time. A demo on the back line, maybe mistimed, does allow some space for Kaldi, but it's sent far too high. Bob back in time. And Zulu is just really in the driver's seat right now. I'm struggling to think about what Anju could be doing differently. Oh, no way that goes in.
He's got the assist, but he'll be kicking himself. It didn't quite have the speed to end up in the back in there. What a touch. What a touch, Bob. He's definitely stepped up in this second half of the series. But going back to game number 2, when we saw Andrews walking away with that 6-0 victory, I said it just seemed like Zulu were just giving them making it way too easy for them. And it's just, they'll be kicking themselves at the end of this one that they
took that personally.
Put in this. Yeah, absolutely. And they'll be kicking themselves that they didn't sort of have this mentality and this aptitude in the first 2 games, but at least they've turned up and given us an actual series to commentate on.
Have indeed. Takes a little time. At least it's not Knockout Rocket League. I mean, if it was Knockout Rocket League, Zulu would be happy about it, considering the form that they found, and they could have won this series if it had gone to 5, but it will only go to 4. This is the final game regardless of the result, and with 2 minutes left to go, a 3-goal deficit. Not seeing that come back from any team tonight. Of course, I don't think there were 3 goals. There were no more than 2 goals in any game in the last series beside the first, but we just write that one off. So comebacks are relatively rare, at least in terms of a goal scored, but in terms of the series score, it's been happening a lot. Elite maintains its unpredictability.
I mean, unpredictable. I wouldn't have called this one after game 2, that's for sure. I had the hope, Vector. I didn't have the belief that this was going to happen, so it's good to see it's finally done it. But I mean, it's still, to me, 1 goal can change everything in this one. I've seen it done before, so you never know. Andrew, just get the one cheeky goal. Lovely flick. Not quite able to get on the end of it, but a minute left on the clock. Still a chance.
I feel so bad for Keza. He's had such creativity with his offensive plays. He had a great fake attempt earlier in this game that just didn't quite come off. Neither did the flick. The demo in the midfield, and Cynics does a temporary 3v2. That could be open. It's going to be an own goal from Bob. Was already on target, but still, they've got 1. The final minute. Could it be a miracle for Anju to get back into this? Get a series-winning 2 goals on this one. Of course, it would only go to overtime. But maybe that's it. Maybe disruption. Maybe they need to demo. Maybe they need to bump. Saw it a little bit earlier on. I think it was Dash or Cynics that was taken out of the play, but it was just badly timed. Maybe they can do it a little bit better.
You know as well as I do, I'm always up for a bit more aggression and demos in this game here, but
roughhousing.
A bit of roughhousing. Every second though that counts down is going to make it that bit more awkward, especially if Bob trying to round off the series and put his mark on it for sure, but not quite on that occasion. As Caldi,
He's going to do it again.
here he goes, Bob.
Reset.
Man of the hour. Not quite on this occasion, but I think with that little flurry there, that's going to make it near impossible for Andrew to come back.
Last 10 seconds, Keza to find Caldi. He's going to have to take an early shot, but he puts it wide. It's dropped awkwardly. Swift was just mispositioned. That will be on target, but it will not make a difference. Consolation goal at the end of things. A buzzer beater to make it 2-3, to make it look closer than it really was, because you've got to admit, Zulu had control of this game, had control of the second half of this series. You said that at one point that it was... I think it was on Forbidden Temple or something like that. I mean, it may have been the first game. It was a game of two halves, essentially. I think it was for Anju at the beginning. This was a series of two halves. Zulu they struggled so much in the opening, and then especially in the second game, getting shut out, getting 6 goals leveled against them. They couldn't quite get the same level of embarrassment, should we say, put against Anju in their own right. But it doesn't matter. What matters is the result, is the game win, and that has taken them to another 2-2 draw tonight. It is the night of the draws so far. We have another rival matchup coming later on, so maybe that streak continues, but we're both wrong this time, it turns out. Mark, our predictions were awful, and Zulu weren't by the end of things.
Well, I say predictions were awful.
We're one game off either way, so
that's a good one. I was trying to think of a way out of that one, and you bailed me out on that one, Vector. But yeah, it's good though. I hate it when you get series that just seem like they just run away, and it ends up being a completely clean sweep. But fair play to Zulu. I don't know what they said to each other after that second game, but I'm glad they did sort of have words with each other, and they just did to me, it was just Bob stepping up for one. As a great solo effort from him. But then 2, when he did that, it just seemed like they suddenly remembered just to do the basics, making sure, that you got somebody challenging first man. Your third man is sort of covering the bases, not pushing too hard. They just settled down, got into their flow, and Andrew just didn't have an answer for it. And it's weird series to cast, the fact that it was so different from start to finish. But great series nonetheless, though.
Yeah, I think with 2-2 draws, if you think about it in terms of MVPs, it's very difficult to single out one player for the overall series. But I think on either side, Andrew had Swift. He just had so many situations where he was the catalyst, where he kept the offense flowing. He got a hat trick on Forbidden Temple, so that just raises the stakes so much more. Kind of struggled towards the end of the series, but was still in a lot of influential positions, shall we say, despite the losses. And you've got to say for Bob on the last 2 games, he was top of the team. He was incredible in every aspect of the game throughout the last 2 games, and really brought them back into it. As you said, you wondered what they said to each other, trying talk to themselves and talk to each other. What can we do differently? And Bob, not necessarily known for, at least in my experience as his teammate, being that leader type and being someone to push people forward, is very reserved, shall we say, and soft-spoken in a lot of my interactions with him, at least in terms of how he plays the game. So maybe it wasn't him that did it. Maybe it was Cynics using that leadership role, being the GM, making that difference there. But either way, it has led to a fortunate result for them. I think they'll be happy to at least have taken a draw here, considering how it began. So congratulations to both teams, sort of. Commiserations to both teams. It is what it is, and I think what's that going to be? That's 22 now for Zulu, and 21 for Andrew. Yes, so they're still 1 game apart, still extremely close in that middle of the table. But it is Zulu's first series of the week, and everyone around them has already played for their first series. So I'm looking forward to what they're capable of doing in their next series of the week, and how they could end up in the next few weeks as well. One last question to posit for you, Morris Guy. Do you think Dash did enough to earn a spot on this team?
Oh, you're giving me the hard question at the end there.
There's a theme.
Yeah, I reckon so. There's still a few things that he needs to work on. I mean, we saw it in the first 2 games, the double commits coming in, and whether that's just kind of not being used to his teams, or, whatever's going on in the comms, who knows. But certainly there were signs there that, as that he could sort of keep up with the team. And second half of the series, we saw the team actually sort of work together really well. So I think yes.
I mean, we could be completely wrong off base. He might not actually be joining the team. He could have just came in as an FA sub because they needed one. They do have Shad on this team who could have played. I'm not sure why he didn't this time around, or he could have been tested here, Dash, for the fourth man. Whatever the case may be, I'd agree on the points. I think he maybe rushes a bit too much in defense at times. He struggles with low boost play, but a lot of that could have been down to the chemistry, getting used to each other on stream. Not the best environment for that kind of thing. So he might have struggled, but I think over time, if they do plan to sign him and keep this roster going, that I think it could become a real contender at the upper mid table. They might struggle against some of the top teams, Temple, Deception, but you never know. It's elite. Absolutely anything could happen. It's crazy what's going on in this tier every single season of the RSC. But that will do it for the elite tier this night, this stream, and it will do it for myself and you as well, Morris Guy. It's unfortunate, but it's been great to be back in the booth with you. Always a pleasure, and I can't wait for the next time.
Likewise, and again, you're taking the words right out of my mouth, so I'm just gonna wrap up by just saying ditto. That's how I'm gonna end this one.
Ditto.
And, yeah.
All right, I'll I'll round it up a bit more cleanly then, shall we say? That's going to be it for me and Morris Guy tonight. We've still got one more match on the docket. It will be the incredible Mal and Big Chebs taking over for us as Tizok versus Erebos face each other for the final series of the night. That will be coming up in just a short amount of time. So do not go anywhere, because we will be back with some more RSC action.
Want you to take me back, I'm going insane. Just come and take my hand, come dance in the rain, wash away the pain, and now I realize just what I had found. 'Cause you will always occupy my mind. what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Come on, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Welcome back, everyone. We've got rid of Guy. We've got rid of Vector. We're here. It's me. It's Chebs, and we have Tizok versus Erebos. How are you today, Chebs?
Yeah, not bad, mate. We're down in rival. We've gone. I think where were we before? Elite, right? I think.
It was rival, elite, rival again. Yeah.
There we go. Well, we're back in rival. We've got two very familiar teams. Two teams that were fighting for the championships at one point, but one team losing one of their players and slowly falling down the table. But definitely a big game today. Big game.
Yeah, I mean, we have, as you said, some pretty strong teams. We've got Tizok, who are first right now, and I believe Erebos, who I have written down as sixth place right now. So in statistics wise, it's looking like this Tizok team is going to do well here. But it's the last match of the night. It's pretty late in the evening, and who knows whether these teams are tired. I mean, you were yawning a bit earlier, but maybe they'll be doing the same on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a tired boy, but as we can see from the stats on the screen at the moment, it isn't very far away between first and sixth. It's 29 game wins for Tizok, 20 for Erebos, and between first and sixth, there's only 9 games, and as you work your way down the table, it obviously goes in the opposite direction. But yeah, as I said, one of the at the start of the season, Erebos were in top 3 contentions. A lot of people putting them as the team that could win it all, and yeah, they've lost Angelo, Angelo being their kind of main carry player, and today we'll be playing with Rubik's, their sub, who has been their sub since the start of the season, but this is a bit of a lower team than they usually play with.
Yeah, and one thing to note about that is the previous matchup between these two teams. I mean, they've faced together. I believe it was week 2 they played, where it came out as a draw. I think the only draw that both teams have had so far, but that was with Angelo playing. Whereas now we're seeing the team without Angelo. I believe right now for Tizok we do have Sai, Kazia, and Snow in the lobby. So maybe not having Mauve, who I've heard is pretty good on their team. I haven't yet to actually watch any of their series play out, but I've heard actually all of the players are, and the fact that they're first I think shows that pretty well. But we can see from these stats, the win percentages on all of the Tizok team members are just so much higher than all of the ones on the Erebos team players. Like it's such a vast difference between them, even with like Might of Hades, Erebos here not doing half bad with a 5-1-4 record. There's still a lot lower win percentage than you see from Tizok.
Yeah, I believe Lukash, or Lukash, however you want to pronounce it, is kind of he's got a bit of a strange availability. So Rubik's has played quite a few more games, I think, than he was expecting to be playing through the first half of the season, which has led to I don't want to say lower results from playing with sub, but looking at statistics, the lower goal percentage, and obviously the win percentage being almost half of the rest of his team. I believe that kind of shows that Rubik's he's a very good player, and he's shown that, but he hasn't been gelling with the team he's playing with.
Yeah, and I mean, another scary thing to think about here is the goals scored. We have Kazia 35 and 29 and Kaf 30 and 36, but compared to everyone else, they've got one and a bit goals per game. Everyone else seems to have like half a goal per game here. So I think we know who to watch out for on the offense for both teams, and the defense looking to be spread across everyone on both teams, except Kazia just seems to be, I don't want to say the team's carry, but I did have him down as the player to watch. Kaf, as you can probably see from the stats, I have the player to watch for Erebos. So it's looking to be two very, very strong teams here.
Yeah, I think both teams definitely have their advantages, and it's on Erebos to kind of find those weaknesses with Tizok. We've seen teams beat them, be it I think only one, but it's definitely one of those that you just need to keep an eye on them and see what they can do.
we almost had a transition across. We're having a couple of technical issues. Hopefully, it's all sorted now. We were just going into the lobby, and they didn't have any nameplates, which isn't very helpful. But a strong kickoff here for the Erebos half. I think you had them predicted to win something like 4-0, didn't you? Here.
Yeah, that's definitely my prediction for this one. I just think, especially, I don't think Lukash and Rubix have played too much together. It's always kind of been Rubix has stepped in for him. So I think it's definitely going to at least have a bit of teething room, as we see Lukash kind of overcommit and Tezok already going one goal ahead. And yeah, I don't really see it going any other way.
Yeah, I mean, we said going into this, Kajir, the incredible striker of the team, he's 30 seconds in, he scored a goal. It's exactly as expected. I had them drawing here, but after such an early goal, I'm not so sure if I agree with it. But there is almost a very fast counter attack. It is so far seeming like the game is completely in favour of this blue half of Tizok, but anything can change with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, definitely. I think the defense is already looking a bit ropey, a bit of overcommits here and there. I haven't really seen a third man half of this game, and it's kind of on them to push out and push forward and at least try and show that they're willing to do something in this game.
Yeah, I mean, although there are 3 players on the field, this is slightly reminiscent of the first series on the stream, where game number 1, only 2 players were actually there. It feels like with shots like that from Sai, there's only 2 players from the Erebos half, as frankly, I don't think he should have been able to just score that from there. There should have been someone ready to save it.
Yeah, agreed.
It's impressive. I mean, I like I said, I had them as a draw, but it's an impressive showing already. Sai, I believe, only had a 20% shooting accuracy so far this game. He's already at 50%. Kajir at 66%. Snow not having scored any goals yet, very unlucky for him. But right now, it is a beatdown of this Erebos defense.
Yeah, I think they're just looking a bit slow. I don't really know what it is. Whether it's they're kind of coming into it, because I know from chatting with Lukash that they're definitely feeling a bit underwhelmed with the leaving of Angelo. They don't really know where to go from it. So that definitely plays a part in your team's ability.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as I'd heard, Angelo may not have been the carry, but definitely was one of the star players of the roster. Having now gone, it is entirely up to the remaining players, especially Rubix, who, as you've said, was their sub. He has to show up in these matches. He has to not necessarily carry, but at least fill into that gap, which right now it doesn't look like is really happening, as Snow getting their first goal on the board. But it's what, 2 minutes in? 4-0 already to Tizok. It's not going well for Erebos.
Really not. It's one of those where they've got to try and build some momentum, build some confidence going into game 2 to try and turn something around, make something of this game, even if it's just taking a game or so off them. I think anything, especially from it being this dominant in this first game, and anything right now will kind of go in anything that goes in the direction of Erebos will be definitely a positive for them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think right now at least, I did tell you beforehand my prediction for game 1. Right now it is possible, no longer possible. I had it as 4-1 to Tizok. They have already blasted past 4-1, and it's only halfway through this match, as it's 5-0. We were talking, I don't think you were in the voice chat before, but I caught the end of Morris, Sky and Vector, and we were talking about blowout matches, because the match before on stream in Elite, game number 1 was something like a 6-0 win for I can't remember which team now, but one of the teams just absolutely dominated. Hopefully for Tizok here, they don't lose game 3 and 4 like the previous team did. But right now, aside from maybe that attack there, which hasn't really gone to plan, it hasn't felt like there's been anything from Erebos.
No, that's what I mean. I just think some sort of momentum, some sort of at least confidence need to come from the kind of ending of this game. I don't think it really matters the goals that go in now, just as long as they're keeping their mental steady, keeping their play style reasonably ready to go into game 2 and try to push forward and get something out of this series.
Yeah, and I mean, if they can hold that mentality, one thing that they will have the advantage of is that maybe this Tizoc defense won't be expecting them to come in full guns blazing next game, and if they do, they might just be able to catch them lacking. But right now, with such an intense gap between both teams, any amounts of bumps like that could help. But I think if you're playing for Erebos, you're not, like you said, you're not after the win. You're after trying to maintain mentality, but more specifically, I think you are after just a single goal. Because a single goal, it might not win you a game, but it at least means you managed to find a weakness in the defense and could manage to get at least one goal that could snowball into more later.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing from these, especially these kind of blowout games where you just can't really get your foot in the door. And yeah, I think that's literally all it is just being able to do something and know that you can do it against this team and hopefully build from there.
Yeah, and I had a bit of a talk with someone as well before this match where we were discussing the potential outcomes of the series as a whole. I agreed with them. Actually, I slightly disagreed. I did think it was going to edge towards a 3-1 win to Tizoc. I did say I predicted 2-2, which is seeming like a very bad prediction right now as another shot being sent long, but they also predicted a 2-2 match. So it seems like maybe nobody expected any team to come out as dominant as Tizoc have here. With 10 seconds or so left, they are frankly in a position to completely take the series, but that is the one goal that they needed. Caf with a beautiful double touch, a pass up from Lucas. It was well placed, it was well hit from that backboard, and it completely caught the defense lacking.
Yeah, I think that means a lot in this series at least. Even though this game is a 5-1 and we're only one goal off your game 1 prediction, make that 1-off. Yeah, I think for Erebos, especially at the end of this game 1, it definitely means something, that one goal.
Yeah, and your prediction of a straight out sweep, that is, I mean, I can see why you went with it now after such an incredible first showing. Up until, what, 7 seconds? 17? No, 7 seconds left. Erebos, without a single goal to their name. We are having a question in the in-game chat asking whether it was a bit glitchy, so it may have been just some lobby issues that resulted in that, but they are currently asking for a lobby remake, so I believe we are all good to do that. I'm sure I will get a proper confirmation from Stingray. Yeah, and it will all be hopefully restarted in a minute or so. But I mean, talk about that last game. What do Erebos need to do to come back here?
I mean, they showed they can score, and that's all you really need to do in Rocket League. I think Rubik's, only with 80 points or something. I never like to call someone out for it, but it's one of those that you've got to be doing more, especially when the person you're trying to hold the spot of is Angelo, who has been their kind of main carry. And as I believe Robbie mentioned in the chat, last time they did come and play each other, Erebos and Tizoc, it was a 2-2 draw, but Angelo had the game of his life, and I think that's kind of the thing that they're missing, is this kind of main, not carry player, but player solid enough to hold their own, which I don't think Rubik's is doing.
No, I definitely think maybe not necessarily just it's what Rubik's is doing, because we saw Caf and Lucas with that incredible passing play that led into the double touch. But I think we need A, more of that because it obviously worked, but B, they need to remember that they aren't playing with Angelo anymore. And like you said, Rubik's currently having to pick up a lot of that slack. Maybe their teammates could help them out a little bit with Lucas and Caf here. They could not necessarily carry more of the slack, but at least change how they play to maybe suit Rubik's a bit easier so he can fit back in. But heading into game number 2, it is on Forbidden Temple, a bit of a lighter map in comparison, I believe. But either way, a similar start to last game with Erebos taking an early attack. This time, almost getting a goal for it. We've seen Snow disappear from the match. I'm not 100% sure what's happening. They're calling for a remake. I believe they're allowed to.
They are allowed.
They called for a remake before the shot got anywhere close, so I'm pretty sure I don't entirely know the rules because I'm not a game admin in RSC.
Head mod.
They can someone can definitely say, but I believe I mean the opposing team seemed to be fine with it anyway. I think they saw Snow left. It's a bit of an iffy situation, but Snow left. It was within a minute. It was completely scoreless. It was a developing attack, but it wasn't an attack that would have necessarily gone in had Snow not been there. So I believe we are going for the second remake.
I believe it was a lawful request. Because it's one of those where as soon as a player leaves and I believe that it's supposed to be most of the team leave, but I think that was enough for it to be in that direction.
I was about to say, it seemed like the opposing team of Erebos. I mean, everyone's generally pretty smart sportsmanlike anyway, but it seemed like after they scored, they did say, "I didn't see that," but
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they were fine with everything that was happening because it was obviously just a slight issue. It's looking like Snow's still playing, so whatever caused Snow to leave, not 100% sure what it was, but hopefully with Snow back in the lobby, everything will be good to go. I don't see anyone mentioning anything in chat. And I mean, it's got to not help you if you're Erebos here. You've just scored a goal, but it was after a player disconnected, so you're not going to get that goal counted.
No. Yeah, although it's never fun to have a goal disallowed. I mean, they were leading for a portion, and they know that all they have to do is come out with the same kind of playstyle, which, I mean, they came out very aggressively into that second game. Now into the real second game. Hopefully they can recreate them.
Oh, there's a shot sent just wide there, and I think had Snow would have scored that one, not necessarily would it have spelled the doom of Erebos' game, but it definitely wouldn't have helped that mentality that we keep talking about, because you get disallowed a goal, and then the team that disconnected ends up scoring first. If that happens, it's going to deal a massive blow.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as we mentioned, I think Rubik's will come out a bit more aggressive into the second game. I think, especially Lukash and Kafka have played together quite a lot in tournaments and stuff. I think that they'll definitely give him a little bit of a team talk and try and push him into the second game.
Yeah, and I mean that is the one thing that we see a lot of times on any stream game, whether it be RLCS, ERS, RSC, Rocket Sundays, any of those tournaments, 9 times out of 10, you can never fully get series off game 1 purely because every single player coming in might be a bit nervous, not fully warmed up, not fully adapted to the opponent team. Right now, the only thing that seems to be adapted is that crossbar on the Tizoc defenses. It saves what was 2, maybe 3 shots from Erebos, but it's definitely a different scoreline from game number 1. I had this one going 3-2. It's not super likely right now, but there is still 3 minutes left in this game.
Yeah, much better start into the second game at least. I think as long as they keep this kind of reasonably solid defence and midfield work, a goal should come. I think at the moment they are looking stronger into the second game.
Yeah, and all they have to do is find that hole in the defence like they were doing, but not hit the crossbar as Snow gets a pretty cheeky touch, almost beating out a defender, but Kazir with a beautiful block in that midfield stops them from clearing out, almost converts it to a goal. Luckily blocked by 2 different players for the rebound and the actual shot. It's heating up on the defence, but right now what they need is someone back as Rubix has to run back, and I think the Azteca team of Tizoc is slowly warming back up against these players and slowly maybe wearing down on that defence.
Yeah, they've obviously changed up the style, changed up the play of Rubix for the unlucky miss shot there, but yeah, I think they're definitely trying to change up the play style, and Tizoc are trying to readapt to the change.
Oh, but a cheeky pre-jump from Lucas there is. He was up before that ball was even hit from Snow. That was it was a bold play if Snow had gone low, but it worked out perfectly. Didn't stop any kind of attack though, because they still managed to push up into that pink or red half. I don't know. There's a lot of discussion that goes on. Is it pink or is it red on the Erebos half right now?
I'm pretty sure it's red because it's supposed to be red and blue for the RSC colours. Another pre-jump from Lukasz to save that one. And I think finally, after the degrading of this defence, I think they've finally got through it and scored that first goal.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen what, 6 saves so far coming out from Lucas. It's 2 saviours. We're with what, 3.5 minutes in, 2 saviours. That's basically every shot that Snow's taken bar 1 so far has been saved by Lucas. And with that kind of defending, it's amazing how well they've held on. Obviously, no defence can hold forever, as we saw them finally break. But it's definitely not a 5-1 loss like Game 1 was right now, as Snow getting a strong block. But I could definitely see this one heading towards an overtime, as Erebos, even while seemingly being held back on defense the entire game, have had a couple dangerous shots just like that touch there. But with a minute left, still slightly in the lead and poised to take Game 2 right now is Tizok.
Yeah, definitely. Lukasz is very much he's playing as a very, very solid third man. It's just on Rubix and Kaf trying to break that deadlock and equal the game up. But I think as it stands, Tizok don't look like they're going to fold anytime soon.
No, and I mean, I don't know entirely what the record for saves in a single game of RSC is, but I've got to say, I can't imagine it being much higher than what Lucas has right now, as he gets another touch. That one's not a save. It did stop a shot, but the game doesn't give you a save for just stopping the shot before it happens.
Yeah, unluckily.
It made me feel a lot better if it did, because I'm similar to Lucas who's been this game. I like pre-jumping for the ball. It's a very fun thing to do. But with 5 seconds left, we need to see a good shot from Erebos, as I think that was Rubix who shot that slightly wide. And a demo on Kaf, it's put them too awkward, giving Tizok, at worst, a draw in this series now.
Yeah, I mean, it's never fun to lose a game, but I think they're definitely improving. And I think Rubik's definitely stepped it up a bit into that game. It's kind of on Kaf now to step back up, and Lucas with by far the MVP in the lobby of almost 700 points. I think it'll be yeah. I mean, he's doing his bit. It's on the other two to kind of to score and get this game going.
100%. Yeah. I mean, like I said before, I had Kaf as the player to watch. It seems like right now, Tizok doing a very good job of keeping Kaf out of the play as a whole, or at least out of shooting, which is where he seemed to perform the best on the Erebos roster so far. On the other hand, we see Kajir here with 1 goal, not many goals, but it was enough, and 4 saves. So I said Kajir was the player to watch on Tizok beforehand, showing exactly why. When even with Snow taking 7 shots, the person who scored the goal was Kajir with only 4 shots. So maybe those shots weakening the defense, but whatever it was, they're at least going to be happy that they won the game.
Yeah, Kashir definitely. I mean, anyone who's kind of been following following Rival at the moment, I think will know how well Kashir is doing, and I think he's proving his weight in gold. I think is the phrase in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's in the entirety of Rival on the stats database. I took a glance at it before we started this series. I believe Kajir is the highest of the roster on the stats database in terms of league score, which I think is pretty evident by how he's played. But I think he's like 5th or 6th in the entirety of Rival as a whole. So he is one of those top dogs in Rival, likely to be all-star, potentially, if Tizok do well further into the season, maybe even player of the season, especially with how he's been playing here. But right now, a very even game. In game number 3 now on Sovereign Heights, which, I mean, it's a newer map, it's a nicer map than Forbidden Temple in my opinion. Maybe not as bright as the new map. I don't know if that's actually in the rotation at all for RSC, but nonetheless, a beautiful map and a pivotal map for both teams here.
Yeah, definitely. It's on Erebos to kind of turn this game around, to even have a sniff at a draw. And I mean, they've shown that they can score. They've shown that they can defend. They just need to put it all together into one game. and they'll get something out of this series.
Yeah, I mean, that one shot they got in game 1, it didn't seem like a lot in game 1, but had they have got it in game 2, it would have been enough to take them to the overtime. Right now, a fake from Sai on the line. It was a bit of a dangerous one. It did get the defender, and Kajir having to get a dangerous save. I think 2 players did go for the save, but right now, Tizoc seeming to be a bit held back and a bit tepid on all of their plays. They aren't pushing out as hard as they have been, but the shots from Erebos haven't been as dangerous as they have been in the last 2 games, I don't think, so far.
Yeah, I think CAF is definitely coming out a bit more aggressive. Lucas kind of sitting with him. I think they're telling Rubik's to kind of sit back, play that kind of third man role, and it's up to CAF and Lucas to take on the aggression.
And there's a demo. Oh, that is. I don't even. It's a hard one to describe because it was an attempted demo play from Sai. Yeah, Snow got demoed. I expected it to be Snow going for it, having played quite a bit of Rocket League with him recently. He likes that. But Sai trying to demo the goalkeeper didn't actually hit it, but it was enough to stop him. And a 1-goal lead was all they needed in game 2. A 4-goal lead is what they had in game number 1. I think they're after a 2-goal lead here, as Snow with a double touch just off the crossbar. And they are showing that 1 goal definitely isn't all they want right now. Yeah,
they want that goal difference. They want to they want to push it forwards, not just for rival, but for Azteca as a franchise in total. But yeah, I mean, at the top of the standings at the moment, the goal difference is quite close. I believe Tizoc on like low 30s, and I believe Onka Sentinels all on the high 20s. It's very close. So I think goal difference really does mean something to them.
And another thing that means a lot is this week of league play, because what I can't remember if I did mention it beforehand, but what was brought to my attention by a couple of people before the series is that the team that Erebos has to play, or both teams they have to play, is Onka, and it is actually, I think it was you beforehand, because we were talking about this a bit. Onka and Tizoc both play Erebos this week, so the result of the series for both teams is so important, because let's say Tizoc does sweep here. That means to stay as close as they are at minimum, then Onka have to get a sweep in their series against Erebos. So it's a pivotal series for Tizoc, it's a pivotal series for Erebos, and this series is just as pivotal for Onka as well.
Yeah, definitely. And as the Panthera GM, everything to do with my franchise means something to me. And yeah, so far I think Tizoc are looking really strong, and it's up to Erebos to do something and push back.
And right now, I think that is exactly what they are lacking on this field. It is that doing something that needs to be done, because right now, aside from showing how incredibly good it seems like CAF and Lucas are at the pre-jumps, there hasn't been much in the way of answers this game, or this series as a whole. They've had, 1 goal this entire series. That's less than Tizoc have had this entire game. It's the same amount that 2 of the Tizoc players have had on their own this game, and it's showing just maybe not so much how dominant this team is, but just how strong their attack is. As Snow, as I said on the previous demo attempt from Sai, enjoying a good demo play to take out the third defender of Lucas there, allowing an open net for Kajir.
Yeah, I think it's Erebos have tried switching up their play styles quite a few times I think this series to try and do something that Tizoc can't answer back to, and Tizoc have shut everything they've tried to do down, and just show why they're such a versatile and solid team.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that is, I've been looking at some stats on the side of my screen for this game. One thing I have noticed, it seemed a bit weird considering the 3-0 scoreline, but right now, in terms of field domination, the ball has spent twice as much time here, give or take, on the blue half here than it has on the pink half. So I'm not entirely sure what's happening with the attack. There's been quite a few shots coming out, but Tizoc definitely winning this series here with a 3-0 lead. There was a bit of an attack brewing towards the end, but it wasn't enough. Still, the field domination of 34% to Tizoc 66% to Erebos. That's a scary amount of field domination in favor of Erebos, with scarily little to show in return.
Yeah, I think it might be just that Tizzle are playing a much more controlled game. They kind of take the ball down, have a bit of time, but then Erebos are just kind of throwing it away and throwing it back into their side every time the ball comes near them. It's kind of on them to kind of have a bit more control, play a bit more, a bit more kind of progressive, starting kind of in defence, playing it up and then going for shots rather than just the ball coming into the third man and just banging it away, which I've seen multiple times this series. And I think, game 4 is what we'll see. Whether they're able to scrape one game back or whether Tizzok will fulfill my prediction to get the sweep.
I was about to say it's made my prediction this game. It's ruined mine of a draw. I did have, however, on my piece of paper that I was doing stats on, I also wrote down that the 2-2 was only if Erebos took that game number 1. I had if Tizzok took game number 1 that it was going to be 3-1. Right now, I'm not even thinking that's super possible. But one thing that was a bit understated, Erebos, I mean, they completely outshot Tizzok last game. They had like 12 shots to 8, I think it was, or something along those lines. What they didn't have, however, was the defense that Tizzok put up, having saved, I think, 9 or so of the shots that were taken on the net. It's if they can break the defense through like demo and bump plays, they can definitely take an advantage, as we see exactly that. I mean, they might just be listening to me. Apologies to Tizzok if they're listening to me, but exactly the kind of play we needed to see. Calf bumping Snow, and it makes the entire defense completely awkward because he catches the ball, and it's a different kind of Erebos here.
A goal is a goal, which we haven't seen in a good little while, and I think it's just aggression. They just need to go. I think they just need to play full aggressive mode, completely change the vibe, and that might lead to something.
Yeah, I mean, the important thing to note is while they may have lost this 4-game series as a whole now, at least it's not a best of 5, so they do still have that extra 1 game where they could get at least 1 win. But right now, I think as much as they've lost the series, a single win, it's not necessarily 3-1's not the result they want, but it's better than a 4-0 loss. So any kind of win here, which they're definitely on track to make, will for sure help them out, as it looks like they were listening, or at least coming up with the same ideas as me, as another demo attempt tried to happen there, but nothing coming of it, as Erebos, they're showing similar field domination, but with more bump and demo plays, which, if that works out, could quite easily snowball into more goals for them.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned to you before we started, Lukasz is in fact my housemate, so I've played with him quite a lot, and I know his kind of the way he likes to play. I think with the players he's been given, lovely shot by Kashir. Is that Rubik's not able to keep it out, kind of miscontrolled by Lukasz, and Rubik's is not quick enough.
You were talking about his style of play. Is that his style of play to get a slight mistouch and pass it to the opponent ready to score?
Well, he's used to playing with me, so he's used to me being the person who miscontrols it.
So he's stolen a bit of your play style there.
Exactly, I must be rubbing off on him too much. But yeah, I was gonna say that he's very much a third man player. He likes to play that kind of less aggressive position, but I think he's kind of coming out and realizing that Rubitz and Kaf, they aren't scoring, so he's trying to take matters into his own hands, and is kind of pushing out that bit further. And we've seen him already score the first goal, and maybe he'll go on to score some more.
Yeah, I mean, you're saying about him having to go on attack. It is entirely true. As a bit of a cheeky goal still there from Sai, but I mean, that was, I think, exactly what Anschlo was there for in the team, where Anschlo, at least in my experience of playing against him, is one hell of a striker. And when you have such a good striker, it allows that third man player like Lucas to just chill back in net, get lots of saves like we saw, I believe, in game number 2, where he dropped something like 7 or 8 saves. If you have that as a striker, you can do it, which, to be honest, I don't even want to say that that Tizok have that striker, because it seems like even though statistically Kajir scores more goals than all of his teammates by a good margin, it still doesn't feel like he's that not star striker, but the main striker. But I mean, he may just have proved me completely wrong there with a read off the ceiling, off the backboard to drop it down into the red net. That, I mean, there was a defender there but wasn't in a good position, and with shots like that coming out, I mean, there isn't really much that Erebos can do aside from maybe this kickoff.
No, I think Bajir's playing really well, as we've seen in chat from Rob being the GM saying that he's peaking, he's eating his Weetabix this morning, and we've got Sinixi, the captain of Onka, the rival team to Tizok, saying that Tizok do in fact have ice in their veins, and I think they are showing it soon.
Yeah, speaking of, I believe, was it Sinks who said he was in the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was who I was talking to before, who also said they were going to go bold with a 2-2 result, so I just thought I'd bring out that I wasn't the only one who predicted wrong. But also something else that they mispredicted. Sinksy said they expected Mauve to be playing this series. I said it was going to be Snow, Jazir and Sai. I would just like to take this moment to quickly say I told you so, Sinksy, but either way, an incredible team to put out onto the field with the three of them playing so incredibly well. Rubik's a bit of an awkward position there, did manage to control it, but I mean, there isn't really much I don't think Erebos can do here. My prediction of the games, I will say, were off after game 1. It was slightly off. Game 2, it was very off. Game 3, it got a bit closer. But this game 4 is way off the 1-0 win that I had predicted for Erebos here. But I mean, right now, an incredibly close match, even though the scoreline may not fully reflect it, as both teams really trying their hardest just to close out the series now.
Yeah, I think Sai proving us right, I guess, that Tizok do in fact have ice in their veins and just shutting any kind of ideas of any kind of comeback out. And I was going to mention, just out of all the people to kind of be sitting on the bench in this series, they're pretty much on for the sweep now, and on the bench they've got more of the
I think it is.
Mauve. But out of all the people to have sitting on the bench is the RSC11 Challenger champion, and what a lovely ceiling shot from Lukash coming off. Was that the kind of corner between the coming off the ceiling, and really nice calculated finish from him, and kind of showing that Erebos, that they've got more to them, but yeah, they're just not able to put it forward against Tizok.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the ice in the veins of the players. Obviously, there is a very easy pun to make with Snow being on the Tizok roster here. You can make the similar pun that we make in Snow Day, where we have snow on the snowy map. It is exactly the kind of thing they need, but Tizok taking the series in a complete sweep. I will happily say, as a fan of the Tizok roster, good friends with I mean, quite a few of the people in this lobby, but Snow and Kazir get along pretty well with them, and I would have always wanted them to win, even though I predicted them to draw. Snow showing exactly why he is a player that I root for. You guys can't see it. I don't think Stingray can see what he said, but he did say, "Love you, Mal. Love you, Chebs. Love you, Stingray. Thank you for casting." So, an incredibly nice thing to say, but either way, it is, first of all, incredibly hot in my room now, because it's quite a warm day outside today, and my room isn't exactly the most well ventilated, but maybe it's just heating up because of how well Tizok were heating up in the series. I don't know.
Well, that's completely contrasted to the ice and the snow that they have on their team, and but yeah, it is a warm day today. I'm slowly fading into the darkness as the sun goes down. And, I think the Tizok team will be very, very happy with how they played today, and Rebus have it all to do for the rest of the season. Yeah,
and I mean, we had the casters before us. They were hoping for the stream of sweeps. It wasn't exactly a stream of sweeps. A stream of draws. Sorry, not sweeps. I was thinking of this last match. Series 1 was a draw. Series 2 was a draw. Series 3, unlike the others, a complete sweep. But that is the final series of the night. And I don't know if you want to say anything before I close this out.
No, I'm happy with my prediction. We get it right, and believe that's my second of 4 this season. So we're at 50% and hoping to move it up even further. But yeah, as always, good casting. Thank you, Stingray, for sitting around for over 3 hours and dealing with casters, dealing with Rocket League players, and yeah, it's been a good night.
Yeah, and I mean, before we fully go, there is always one big person that we have to thank, or at least one big organization or organizations, and that is everyone who sponsors RSC. So that is off the top of my head. I know there's I believe Panthera does sponsor RSC. You'd know for sure, but there is Rule One. I should remember this because I did it for RSCast. But I know Panthera and Rule One. I think there's Gamer Apparel, Badass, Gamers Beat Cancer, and there's one more, but I don't know what it is, so I apologize to them.
Brick and
But
Brad.
that's the one. Thank you, and yeah, thank you to all of the sponsors nonetheless. And thank you especially to everyone who watched tonight. But that is, I believe, The Last of Us next stream, and the last stream of the week, I believe, is on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday.
So we will.
It is in fact the stream of Panthera, all 3 games with Panthera teams in them, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
How much did you pay them off to do that one?
They just do it because they love me.
Ah, well, either way, they love you. We love you. We love the viewers. Thank you everyone for watching. But that is all from us tonight. So goodbye.